This episode of Long Walk Short Drink is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/LWSD. Audible has over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Once again, that's www.audibletrial.com/LWSD.
I do believe that the government is hiding evidence and information about the existence of extraterrestrial life. We're like creating our own conspiracy theory now. It involves John Travolta.
Oh, yes.
I'm gonna pass out. Hang on, I'm gonna pass out. Holy shit. I am on fire tonight. On fucking fire.
You are.
All right, hello YouTube. This is me in a strap shirt. I don't know. I might have to put a t-shirt on.
Oh no, man! This strap shirt business. Like I was so excited when Moto started to recognize and use that term.
Yeah.
Because at first, especially, it snuck up on me. As familiar as he was with the show before he started to really work in the extra audio stuff that he did. It used to be that I thought he was just like normalizing the audio, but he was listening to all these shows. We gave him like the first 9 at once. But yeah, he would start to use things like strap shirt. And then when that came up in the text thread with Double D about like merchandise, and he said something like strap shirts. I'm like, only strap shirts. That's
only
a staple
strap
of the
shirts.
show.
Yeah. Oh, what a great idea too. That's totally going to happen. So if you guys are listening, we had this breakthrough. I'm going to start looking into merchandising for the show. We had a few really great ideas. The best is that we're going to pay tribute to one of our favorite movies, the Spaceballs. And
right.
by put LWSD the whatever on whatever the merchandise is. Like this was another idea that I had, that if we ultimately got somewhere that we were actually making legitimate merchandise. I mean, like the tags could just say LWSD the merchandise. Like that would be our like merchandise company, you know? Like
oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So it's on record now, so nobody can steal it, because we'll always be able to go back to this recording and be like, they talked about it on June 14th at 8:21 Eastern time. So
and then it aired like over a month later. We should talk about that. For people who encounter the show at their leisure or whenever, which is how I encounter podcasts. So one of the reasons I thought it'd be good to do something like this or whatever, or worry less about our schedule, because we always have to worry about our schedule and our work lives and stuff. Anyway, we to sort of help us with the turnaround time, and also to help you guys have time to listen and enjoy, and particularly during this book club, as that started up, time to read. We're rocking like an bi-weekly publishing dates, at least here for a while, to see how that goes. So far, we've in terms of recording every week, we've only took 1 week off, and I definitely feel like I've got a lot more to talk about, a lot more energy. But it was weird not to talk last Wednesday for sure.
Oh yeah, like it was exciting. It did feel like a night off. It was weird because we were going really strong on like the recording every week, right?
Yeah, I think we've been on that for a while.
And just it did feel like a night off, literally. I mean, because then I went to go do something awesome too. The Tom Petty concert was fantastic.
Yes.
It was like a fantastic set list. I found the set list online. I'll try to find it again. And maybe tweet that out when this airs. It was a fantastic set list on Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers part. But I forgot Joe Walsh opened for him. So it was like, just to see like, it's not like I would line up for Joe Walsh, but at the same time, though, you have to pay respect to the guy. The guy was an Eagle, right? Like he was an Eagle. So
that's funny. You gotta like that. I just think a dude being like, I hate the fucking Eagles, man.
Yeah,
the dude hates the Eagles.
Yeah, the dude hates the Eagles.
That's the first thing I think of when I think of the Eagles. I'm sorry to say, for them, it's fun for me.
There's a really subtle. I mean, I don't follow sports. We talked about this during the episode 24 dude therapy stuff about how we don't really follow sports at all. But I follow it enough that like I know like I mean like bad lip reading NFL, like I know most of those players and stuff like that. Like that much, right?
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers had this amazing inside joke that it took some genius Redditor to spot, but he gave a press conference where he showed up and he's in this like, he looked like a bum. He was in like a undershirt and like boxer shorts and had this robe on. And he was talking about his upcoming game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then some Redditor went back. He was dressed as the dude who hates the fucking Eagles, man. Like,
that is awesome.
I mean, nobody caught oh man, it was so good. Like really, really awesome.
I love that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So you tweeted out something right before we started that folks, I think, could probably still go back and find whenever they hear this. Oh, it's not is it hashtagged? Yeah. No, it's not hashtag.
No, it's not. It's not hashtag.
So you got to dig for it
because I ran out of characters. Like, didn't they just recently up the characters? I mean, not recently, like in the last month, but I mean, like since the last time I was on Twitter before Long Walk Short Drink, didn't it used to be 55 characters or something crazy, like crazy small, like?
Oh no, I don't know. I mean, I've always remembered.
Oh, I guess it was always 140.
140. That's one of the nice things about Twitter is it hasn't changed. Like there are promotional things you'll see sometimes. But it's like you don't have to pay to get, anyway.
Maybe I thought there was some. Maybe I'm making this up. I thought there was some. Maybe it's a
that's Snapchat or something,
like a Mandela effect thing. But I could have sworn there was like some uproar that they were considering switching to 512 characters or something like that.
Oh,
and like there was a hardcore contingent that was like, yes, that sounds awesome, and then the other contingent was like, that totally defeats the purpose of Twitter and why I'm not on Facebook and why I'm on Twitter. Like I don't want people to get a 500 word platform. Like I like that they only have 140 characters to figure out what they're trying to say. Because you have to be, one can argue, you have to be really not really intelligent like Mensa, but I mean like you just have to be a little bit savvy about what you're trying to say to really take advantage of 140 characters.
Yeah. If as long as you're not just like spouting like something quick off the top of your head and you don't care, like if you're gonna, I don't know, it definitely forces some thought into how you put it together because you just run out of space.
You mean like where you have to like number your tweets because you're just like spewing from the mouth so much?
Yeah. Well, even
like you have to number them like 5 of them, like.
So
like hugely. I had a hugely tweet, and so I needed to number them. That's what needed to happen.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing with you, if you're numbering like that though, then you have thought it out as well, and you're like parsing it out because you know how many. It's like, oh wait, did they do a number? If it's a fraction, then you thought it out. But if you're just going 1,
yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly.
Did our fucking dipshit president do that? I was the look in your eye.
Oh yeah, he was in like I've seen a few times where he's just gone on tirades and had to number his tweets. But
I can't believe we live in a world where that's the way.
Dude, I'm ramping back up. Like remember like I don't know, 2 months ago I was on the downswing where I was just like I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. I just want to like get through the next 4 years and just like be blah, blah, blah. And like now I'm back on the upswing where I'm just like, the last 3 trips between Columbus and Dayton, I had CNN on the whole time, which
that's brave of you.
Yeah. Which I mean, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of like people that don't like CNN, right? Like,
I hear that. The bride is it's like she loves MSNBC. So that is on constantly. Like I walked in the house today and turned it off. It's not, there's a scene in Harry Potter. Remember when they're hiding the Horcruxes and they're secluded, Ron and Harry and Hermione, and Ron's getting all angry because he's got the Horcrux on him. And he wants to listen to the radio.
Yeah.
Which one of them doesn't like it? I can't remember which one doesn't like it. Somebody's pissed off about the radio. They're like, it sets my teeth on edge or whatever. One of those
I think it's Harry. It's probably Harry.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. So
because Hermione was always trying to keep the peace between them. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the bride told me at some point, she's like, oh, it's kind of like that scene. It reminds me. It's like, so for her, she's like, Ron, it's comforting to her to know like what's going on specifically. But for me, it sets my teeth on edge. So I just can't abide the 24-hour news thing. Did you crack it already?
No, that wasn't the werewolf one. This is the one that is the Heineken spinoff.
Oh,
so, but I didn't want to cut you off, but I am thirsty.
Me too. I'm excited to. But so,
geez, I'm so sorry.
No, it's no problem. Let's do which one? Are you drinking that one now? Or are you?
I can let that one just like breathe a little bit, and I can do the werewolf.
I just want to take a picture of the werewolf when it happens because I think that'll be a great one to.
And you know what's funny too? Like in episode 24, like we talked about werewolfing a beer, right?
That's right. Yeah, and Moto grabbed the wolf sound from Teen Wolf. That made my day.
Do you want to know something? Here's another. I keep saying Mandela effect, which we'll have to talk about at some point in time.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it, but maybe you can refresh my memory.
Mandela effect is essentially. Wait. I need to remember before I lose what I was going to say. I tried to find the phenomenon soundbite, right?
Yeah.
And I found there was a copy on a website that we frequent regularly that I tried to just get this, like I tried to just play it in the background at work until it got to the scene. And then I had Audacity on my work computer, which Audacity has this really slick way that you can like record anything that is coming over your computer speakers, like directly into a sound file.
Oh, nice.
Like it doesn't actually like pass through a mic or anything, which is awesome because then you get it's like a direct board recording essentially of whatever's playing through your computer. And so when that scene came, like I stopped working and I like switched back over to YouTube and I like backed up just a little bit and I started recording on Audacity and then played the scene through. And when he does it, like either we have it wrong, which I don't think we do because between the two of us, we have a pretty good memory for stuff like this. Or there's it because it had it was in Spanish, the like title of the video. So it could have been an international version of the film that it just did not, because there was no like, yeah, Phil, knock me on my ass.
Yeah.
And isn't it Forrest Whitaker that asked him if he falls, right?
I thought so, but it's been so long. I mean, that's how I hear it.
So this is how both of us, and this is going to be a good segue to Mandela effect. So both of us remember it that way, that like Forrest Whitaker is like chuckling over his beer and he's like, you fell. And like that, you can see it, right? You can see right?
Absolutely.
And then he's like, yeah, Phil, you knocked me on my ass, like that, right? Like, because that's the way we've always done it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
that's
always. And that's the way it is, because the hand like going up like that, and like
that's right. I do see the hands in my mind.
Yeah, and so none of that happens in the scene.
Wow.
Like, first off, it wasn't Forrest Whitaker that asks him. It was one of the other minor characters. And then when he's like, you fell, and he's like, yeah, I fell. That like he didn't scream it or anything. He's just like, yeah, I fell. And then he goes back to talking about the light. Like it was just like
Does he ever say it knocked him on his ass?
No. And that never came out. Like, knock me on my ass. Never came out.
Holy shit.
So now I'm like curious. Like, now I want to go to like the library or something to find like, I want to find like a DVD copy from like circa 1990, whatever.
Yeah, me too.
That came out.
I gotta know
like,
now.
Don't you have I was gonna ask you if you have like a VHS, some like buried VHS copy of that somewhere or something.
At one point in time, I feel like I did, but I don't know if it was. I certainly don't have it anymore, but I don't know how I lost it, or even for sure if I had it. But
so
I gotta find it now. Or Goodwill's. There's a Goodwill that has a lot of VHS that I pass sometimes. Sounds like a good excuse for me to.
Yeah.
to stop.
Or half.com even or something, but it's like, I mean, listen, I have a pretty, I'm not going to be Sheldon Cooper and say I have an eidetic memory. Like, I forget things. Like, that's
that word?
Eidetic, which is just basically like a photographic memory.
Oh, okay. Do you have a photographic memory? Sorry, it's good while hunting.
And so but I do have a good memory for movies. Like, it just like sticks to my head.
Oh yeah, and dialogue, and like you said in the past, conversation. Like you have a good ear for conversation. So
yeah, and we and again, that is something that we've done. I feel like since The Cabin that we've talked
easily.
Like,
yeah, because that would have happened.
That we've done that
before.
line.
Like 90, what did we decide? It was 96, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
5 that came out.
So let me tell you what.
It's possible I've blown it out of proportion, but I do at least Knock Me on My Ass has got to be there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find. We'll get to the bottom of this. So what is the
so the Mandela effect?
Yes, I'm gonna crack my.
Yeah, please crack your beer. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, I got 4 of them here.
So we'll do the synchronous cracking when I open a werewolf one next.
Yeah, synchronous cracking. That was my high school band.
That is not a good day. That's not a good
single crack would have been better. Synchronous crack.
Synchronous crack. Yeah.
They can't all be winners.
No, they're not. And that's okay. Because you need stinkers every now and then to make the winners even better. Yeah, that's the way it is.
Shit just doesn't land.
We had 2 viewers, then we had 1 viewer. Now we're like FYI.
I'll watch comments. Try to make them accurate or funny or whatever. I'm lacking both.
My stepbrother is just now texting me. He's like, "Did you see that Josh Brolin went to an 80s party dressed as himself from the Goonies?"
Oh, that is wow.
And that actually happened. I have that. Like, you are correct. A healthy level will help the floor noise come through. Thank you for asking. Awesome. Done and done. Moto got back. Moto came through. He corroborated what I said. Like, I needed to turn it up a little bit. So you guys got a little more sexy in your ears.
No, too sexy.
Yeah. No, I was gonna it's so true. Like, here, let me hold this up here. Look at him.
Oh wow, who is he with also?
I'm assuming his wife, but maybe not. I shouldn't make assumptions. It is Hollywood.
I did not know that.
He's very fragile.
He's a pacifist. He's got problems other than being a pacifist. God,
no, Walter, you're not wrong.
You're
You're just an asshole.
Dude, the trim is not the issue. I get him out of order.
By the way, dude, Chinaman, by the way, is not the preferred nomenclature. Asian American, please. Show the fucking Shabbat.
It's a weird, like, disassociated, just random lines from the movie.
Yeah, and they all have to be like screamed and just
Thank God.
Oh,
I've always thought
John Goodman. Jesus Christ! Like, why is that man? Has he won an Oscar?
I don't think so, but
how has he not? Like, it is a crime, especially with 10 Cloverfield Lane last year. Like he was just absolute. It was the best performance I've ever seen him do.
See, that's
anyways.
where I need to see that one still. I have.
Yeah. That's on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime Video. Yeah.
I have so sometimes things on Netflix and Amazon Prime is actually a barrier for me because a lot of when I watch stuff is when the bride goes to sleep. And if I watch something on like a disc, I can watch it on my TV with headphones. But if I watch like a streaming service like that, I can't. And I hate to watch things on my computer. So
can I tell you how to fix this problem?
Oh, please.
You need to get an Amazon Fire Stick or an Amazon Fire TV. One of those two things.
Okay. We had a stick and gave it back for some reason, like returned it. I don't know why, but how does that help with the headphones?
Oh, because you have to listen with headphones? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah, because she goes to bed or earlier than me. And
but if you no wait.
I have an so things that have yeah, that's part of it. I have an antiquated like amplifier or whatever it's like an old surround sound that doesn't it deals with AV like RCA cables.
Okay.
So that's basically I've got those feeding out of the things that have RCA cables to feed out, but like our television, our smart TV doesn't have RCA outs.
I see what you're saying.
So
there's no way to like channel the audio through from your TV to the stereo so that you're able to like
easily
get it to play over the. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
For a guy with my technology.
Yeah.
But one day.
What you need is a set of those wireless headphones your mom has. That's what
true.
you need.
That is true. I should look into that.
Those I know. I have a set of those actually. I should just send them to you because I don't use them.
Are they like Bluetooth? Like how do they work with the TV?
No, it's just it's like got it's RF. It's got an RF like transceiver that has RCA plugs on the back of it. That you would go.
Oh, but you still need RCA, right?
No, because you should be able to do optical into that. Maybe I'll have to look.
That's got to exist though, and I gotta have it because it's been the tyranny of.
Yeah, you got to do something, man.
I know. Well,
because there's no reason why. First off, there's no reason why you should be watching any streaming service on just a computer. You should be able to watch it on a computer, but you should also be able to watch it on your phone and your television. We live in the 21st century. Supercomputers fit in your pocket. Yep. You can watch YouTube on TV now. It's okay.
That's right.
So there's that.
I just need the headphones.
You just need the headphones.
The optical, whatever. Oh, you were going
to... I'll look into that. So awesome. Mandela effect. Let's get back to that short drink. All right. So Mandela effect. You know how I love conspiracy theories, right?
Actually, I didn't know that about you.
Okay, I do. Like I love them. Love them. Well, first off, because I do believe that the government is hiding evidence and information about the existence of extraterrestrial life. I'm not even drunk yet. I don't know why I'm slurring.
That's not an easy word. That's a 50 center.
Yeah. So I do believe that, but like all the other conspiracy stuff, I just like to look and see. I like to see how crazy people get and what they buy into. The stuff that it's when people can just what they are able to like convince themselves of astounds me sometimes. And conspiracy theories just are. I mean, it's just like a scary movie. Like where a scary movie, like there's a part of you that really enjoys being scared.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a part of you that like that animal part of you enjoys being scared and surviving it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why scary movies will always exist. If there's any form of like visual media, there will always be scary movies, I think, because that's why they're always being made. Even though they get like terrible Rotten Tomato ratings and they're god awful. I mean, I feel like scary movies are the only genre where you literally, most of them, you're like, how in the fuck did this get funded? You know, like, so it just, I don't want to do this tomorrow. It just popped up. It just popped up to do a fucking update in the middle of my goddamn show. I'm in the middle of a fucking show, Windows.
It's just so funny because to me, I didn't see that. All of a sudden, you just said, you stopped, you zoned out. You're like, I don't want to do this. You're like, I don't want to tell you about the Mandela effect.
No, it just. Anyways.
So you love conspiracy theories. That's where.
So I love conspiracy theories, and there is just like scary movies. I think that there is a piece of your brain that enjoys. I think, anyways, if you have a healthy sense of curiosity, there's a piece of your brain that enjoys the exercise of saying "what if," right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
And so conspiracy theories are a great way to scratch that itch of what if, of like stretching that what if muscle of your brain, right? Mm-hmm. And so you fair warning, like you have to know what your like safe zones are because like conspiracy theories can get out there, like some people might think it's really entertaining to think that there's lizard people running the media and that every time the like clouds go over and the like feed like pixelates. Have you ever seen that? You know what I'm talking about?
No. Do
you know what I'm talking about though? When a storm is coming in and your cable like jitters a little bit and it like gets pixelated because the digital feed is a little bit off.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? There are people who believe that when that happens, it's lizard people's holographic disguise, like twitching out, like
whoa,
malfunctioning. That's what they think it is. Like They Live, like the movie They Live.
Yeah.
That's what they think it's like that. That mirage is like fucking up somehow.
Like so it's not in the broadcast, but rather like of the person that you're seeing.
Yeah, is actually a lizard person. And it's like their disguise is like not working properly.
Whoa, like V, that TV show, like that's the kind of lizard people they think we are.
Yes, not everybody. Just like when you see that on TV, like there's great examples of that. Anyways, so like that's some people might find that really entertaining, but then like you can go really dark. There's a ton of conspiracy theories like surrounding 9/11, unfortunately, or like the Sandy Hook massacre, and like some of that stuff I won't even touch. Like go fuck yourself.
Oh my God! Speaking of go fuck yourself and Sandy Hook, like there's a guy here in Northfield where I live that runs and owns such a cool bar, like a British pub down by the water. It's such a great place, but we can't go there anymore for years now because we found out.
Told us about this.
Yes, the guy
hosted that guy to come down and like
exactly thinks he either supported or himself believes that the Sandy Hook massacre was like a conspiracy from the
Obama administration to take guns.
Right. Yeah, like
that's essentially what it boils down to, is that they know that it didn't even happen, that it was all fabricated. It was
right.
Like, because this is, I mean, I'll read any conspiracy theory. So that like, this is, the conspiracy theory goes that the Obama administration essentially colluded with, there I am using that word, with mass media to generate that attack as a subversive way to take guns away from gun owners.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Are you kidding me? Like, oh God. It's so ridiculous. And so
it's interesting that you brought up guns, children, and politicians. We'll put a pin in that. For now. Hashtag Dead Zone. Hashtag Dead Zone Book Club. Fucking audible.com.
We still can't fucking get it /LWSD. audibletrial.com/LWSD
for your free fucking audiobook. Goddamn book rags. Hashtag book rags, bitches. For
bookrags.com. Let's just shit on our sponsors. We're almost done.
Oh no, that's a ringing endorsement. That's like bitches, like good, like go get them, bitches. I don't know. Is there good bitches? I think so.
Uh-oh. I'm side addressing the capsule instead of head on in the polar pattern. Off axis compared to on axis.
Oh.
Maybe just a little down and right.
That's what she said.
Oh, right up at your grill. We're just working on it. Sorry for the interruption. Insert Bloodsport and Cyborg music. Might need to adjust level after. Ah!
There's a lot of that's what she said I could throw in there as well. Mandela.
Mandela effect.
As in Nelson.
So the Mandela effect is named after actually Nelson Mandela.
Oh, really?
So I like conspiracy theories.
Africa, you dumb son of a bitch.
You dumb son of a bitch.
Whenever I hear damn it. I always tell myself I'll be quiet.
You dumb son of a bitch.
You dumb son of a bitch.
Is that what you're going for?
One vote.
One man, one vote.
One man, one vote.
One man, one vote.
Nicely done, yeah.
You dumb son of a bitch.
So I love conspiracy theories. Watch it. That's one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube. This was the first conspiracy theory that when I got into the meat and potatoes of what it was, and then the evidence for it, it was the first one, the first and the only one where I was like, not worth it. Like,
oh my
I'm
God.
gonna tap out on this one because it is just a little too. But by that point, I already I was too far into it that it still like messes with me. So the Mandela effect is named after Nelson Mandela, where this woman swears that she lived in a timeline where he died in prison in 1992. And there are other people who swear. How do you spell Bernstein Bears? Bernstein from Bernstein Bears.
Oh.
Like, don't look it up. Just spell it.
Okay, terrible speller A.
Yeah,
Also
that's fine.
37, so it's been a long time. B-E, or it's like Berenstein, right? So it's like the Bears.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Bearerensteinstein. Berenstein. Can you use it in a sentence?
No. What did I just watch where they were like, can you use that in a sentence? No. I believe it is. So that's another piece of evidence that people use is that Berenstein, I think it's spelled A-I-N, Barons, B-E-R, home of the, A-I-N Bears. So there's a contingent of people who swear that they grew up with it spelled E-I-N, just like you spelled it, right? And all of that's like, sure, you got people just like bullshitting. And then somebody on Reddit is just like, boom, found this in my mom's attic at my mom's house. And it's a VHS tape with Bernstein spelled the way everybody who swears it was spelled this way spelled that way.
Oh.
And so like it's like evidence of like so basically the theory, the conspiracy theory is that when you find these inconsistencies, it's probably a sign that either something's been changed, like somebody altered like the time continuum, or that multiple realities like you just merged together. And so that like creates this like rift of like, so I mean that stuff is just here's another one. When you hang on. So let me ask you a question. Before you click that link, don't read any of the URL or anything. I just want to talk to you. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, that's a much more profound statement than than you meant it. Go ahead.
So I want you to just think about Back to the Future, the first Back to the Future. Okay.
Always.
And I want you to think, of course, always. So this should be easy.
It's never far from my mind.
So think to the Libyan terrorist scene. Okay.
Oh, thanks, fucking God.
Yeah.
It's nice to rewind that endlessly.
Yes. Great. Okay. Good. And I want you to picture the kind of van that they're in.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Can you picture it?
Kinda.
Can you see it in your head?
I mean,
Now I want you to click that link that I just had, and tell me if this is the van you pictured.
oh, now I could not picture it. Wait, the fuck? What?
Wait, no, the brown one. You see it? The brown one with the sunroof. Is that the one you see?
Well, yeah, I see that, and then the other.
Just look at that one. Is that the van?
When I first saw it, I thought, well, no, that's not the van I pictured, because I really couldn't picture anything clearly. But that seems right. And then I looked above and saw the other.
The minibus,
actual-
right?
Yes, yeah. But I could easily have been persuaded that brown one was, because my memory
Damn it,
wasn't
Dave.
very good.
This
Well,
is why it's a conspiracy theory, because
Oh.
then you would just put the reason in there, like, I could have been persuaded that it was that brown one. Well, that's probably exactly what happened, but I'm telling you, I remember that scene, and it was that fucking. I remember the swoop front of that van, the angle of that brown van.
Really?
And yeah, and there's like forums that have described that van as the like Back to the Future terrorist van.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
This seems like another effect where you see that photo in the conspiracy theory and you're like, that seems right. Just like me. Because when I saw that van, I'm like, I could be convinced
Yeah.
of that.
No, that's what I'm saying is like that. Like that's obviously that's what's happening. Like I'm not. That's like.
Well, not that.
But it was still enough though that this was the first one that like it risked getting into your head, like into my head anyways. And so yeah.
Wait,
So that's-
what is it actually though? What the Mandela effect? Oh, that idea that you convince yourself
lived
of
an
something.
alternate timeline. Like you
Just you?
have memories from. Yeah. Well, I mean, not just me personally, but like people who experience this have memories from a timeline differing from the other people around them. Like this woman that like the woman who wrote the first theory about it and named it the Mandela effect is the woman who swears that she lived in a time where Nelson Mandela died in 1992. Like she can remember the broadcast from South Africa where his wife was like giving the eulogy at his funeral. Like that's how deep
Whoa.
she swears these memories are. And it was at some convention or whatever where she discovered that he was still alive. And she's like, no, he's been dead since 1992. And then that's what like, and again, this is all the internet. Like that could be a 40-year-old hairy dude who wrote all of that stuff, like created all of that. And like just fabricated it. It could be somebody who's just as talented at world building as Stephen King. And just created
like
all
that.
of this, and is using multiple medias to do it, which, like the internet and Wikipedia pages and videos. And it would be a really easy way. And then then you get enough people who also have access to all of those tools. If you can just, it's like anything viral. If you can just get enough people to like spark the match, then it's going to become self-sustaining. Right.
Right.
So,
oh man. But so the idea though is that just the Mandela effect is that as an individual you may have lived or you are living a separate
yeah,
timeline.
or there could be other people that lived in that remember that alternate timeline as well.
So
like,
but that's not necessarily part of it, the effect of like other people jumping on board, or that is because it gives credence to
oh no, like it just like could be people who just lived in that, like, but based on the theory that lived in that time, that alternate reality as well.
Well, in our fucking alternate reality, Forrest Whitaker says he fell. John Travolta throws his hand.
fell, knocked me on my ass.
Exactly.
You didn't say fuck though. Like I added the fuck. I
right.
added
That
one.
we're
Like,
aware of that. That's
Yeah.
just a little flourish for our listeners.
So
that was very cool. You know what I thought that was something called, and I'm pronouncing this wrong, the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, not for nothing.
we're like creating our own. We're like creating our own conspiracy theory now.
So
It involves John Travolta.
Oh, yes.
So we got to be okay with that,
Well,
which I am.
Unless we find, our library copy or whatever, and like immediately it's just there, then all this is for naught. But I love the journey that we're taking to get.
We
there.
have to try to find it to prove.
And because there's
that
no
he
goddamn
said
fucking video stores, you can't just go downtown and get it.
Let's hit up Walken Video. Let's hit up Walken Video on Twitter. Hey, Walken Video, play this scene. That's what we're totally going to do. We got to write that down.
I like it.
We got to tweet to Walken Video. Can you verify this scene on your VHS copy of Phenomenon?
Oh, do they really still have all that VHS? I guess they do, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point of that video store is that they still rent VHS stuff, right?
Oh, I heard
I'm fucking calling them. I'm calling them. I'm going to call them and be like, listen, you like to tweet that we did back in like 3 months ago. I really think it's awesome that you guys do this VHS thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to pay off for both of us. So here's what I need you to do. This is going to be great.
Please,
this is going to be so awesome. This is going to be so awesome.
You got the polar pattern notes? Like, you're going to record it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the Audacity thing, you can figure that out. You could scrape it. I need to hear the other side of this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I thought you were talking about was something I heard about on Smodcast, actually. And it's called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. And it's basically it's a phenomenon where one stumbles upon some obscure piece of information, often an unfamiliar word or name, and soon afterwards encounters the same subject again, often repeatedly. And so anytime the phrase "that's so weird, I just heard that yesterday" would be appropriate, then it's this Bader-Meinhof thing. So that's what I thought you were talking about. But yours is like way more interesting.
Bader-Meinhof sounds like white car syndrome, right? Is like white car? Have you ever heard of that? Like,
no, what's that?
You like buy a white car and then all of a sudden all you can see is white cars everywhere.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's
is it like the same thing?
Name. I think so. Yeah.
So no, that and actually you'll notice this as you go through King. He has weird phrases like that once they come, like, I feel like he gets stuck on phrases for chunks of books.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned that. I'm not sure I've come across one enough to
You're
be able
still too early in his career that he hasn't, like, we've just now started to talk about some of his like staples and tropes that he keeps coming back to. He like a couple of them were really early, like the overbearing female religious motherly character. Like that character has occurred a few times in the books that you've read.
Mm-hmm.
But once he starts getting later on in his career, and you'll start to see that stuff that I'm talking about.
Sorry. That's absolutely. Sorry, I was looking at our notes because I was like, okay, we've been talking for an hour. We should get to our shit.
No, so I'm thinking that's
I want to
exactly
hear
what I
about
was
Tom
doing because
Petty. Oh my god.
The Tom Petty show was fantastic. I felt a little bad for the Heartbreakers.
Wait, just what now?
Oh shit. Just knocked my mic.
So I think I'm gonna cut that out where I'm like stumbling about us saying we should move on. So maybe if you can start it with like an edit point. Like a pivot.
Yeah.
Getting back to Tom Petty. I don't know. Sorry. Moto. That.
I couldn't fucking resist.
That's perfect. That's it. That is
I'm
just
gonna
instituted.
pass out. Hang on, I'm gonna pass out. Holy shit.
That is
I am on fire tonight. Fucking fire.
You are. From here on out, that is every time we need to make just like an adjustment or like we should find a connective tissue, it's just I'm leaving all that in. It's magic.
So no, I felt bad for the Heartbreakers because like we're sitting there and we're like, well, what songs what songs do you think they're going to play? Like we're talking, you know, and I mean, because it's their 40th anniversary. This tour is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' 40th anniversary. Not Tom Petty's 40th anniversary. It's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' 40th anniversary tour.
And were they with him before he did kind of non-Heartbreaker stuff, or?
When he first started, he was Mud Crunch, which you should totally watch the 4-hour-long Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers documentary.
See that. Once I have those fucking headphones, it's an
yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Also, they're gonna have to break some serious OCD tendencies on my part of like watching people's whole careers, multiple different people.
Yeah.
But no, so, I want to see that. So what was Mud? What?
Mud Crunch, I think that's the name of it. That was the band that he started with. And then once they got signed, they essentially signed him, but didn't want his band.
Richie Valens wouldn't let that fly.
Yeah. And
they're my buddies.
So he had to like kind of break that to him. And then I don't know. But anyway, since then he has retoured with Mud Crunch. Like he's
really, but
yeah.
But the Heartbreakers are not his original sort of backing band, or that's not some other iteration of Mud Crunch.
They were the first when he recorded for a label. That was the first band that he recorded with was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
And were they studio musicians, or they were like people he'd known?
No, I think he had brought auditioned. He had auditioned. He took like one of the guys like came in. He even told the story on stage. Like came in with this like super cheap like at the time like Japanese guitar like what would be like an Ibanez now, like a $90 Ibanez, right?
Oh yeah, like the knockoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, and walked in with this like super cheap guitar, and like Tom Petty, I guess, was like kind of not giving him like any kind of, was just like, yeah, whatever. And then this guy like just like lit that guitar on fire, just like shredded it. And the guy was like, and like Tom Petty when he was done, and Tom Petty looked at him, he's like, "You're gonna play in my band forever."
Oh,
and that's
nice.
what he told him. Like, so, which was really cool to get him to hear him tell that story to that guy again. Like he like turned from the audience to like look at him and say like, "You're going to play in my band forever," for their like 40th anniversary. And like, it's just really awesome. Like really cool stuff.
That's great. But so he wanted to have a band. Like he didn't want to just be Tom Petty. He wanted the and.
Right. Right. And so
I know the boss talked about that. Like, because ultimately the E Street Band are people he met like in his early days and aggregated, and Columbia signed him wanting a new Bob Dylan, and it was important, I think, for him to sign as a solo guy, even though he'd fronted bands his whole sort of since he was a teenager.
Right.
But ultimately, yeah, it's those guys he knew from when he was young, and but he said in his autobiography like that and was very important, like Buddy Holly and the Crickets, like that's a big deal. So that's what it is for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah. And so, so we were asking like, what songs are they going to play? And I was like, just straight, like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers greatest hits that came out in the mid 90s that like they had, cause I remember like Johnny Depp was in one of the music videos they did for that. And like, The Great Wide Open. And then, for Mary Jane's Last Dance that had Kim Basinger was in that, and
fucking Vicky Vale.
When that album came, that was the first album that I got where I wasn't listening to my parents' music anymore.
Oh,
you know, like my very first CD that I ever got for Christmas, because I got a CD. My first CD player was for Christmas in '92.
92.
Yeah, and then the
4 for me, I think.
And then, no, maybe it was later. Maybe it was 94. And then my very first CD was Rod Stewart Unplugged.
Oh yeah. That was ubiquitous
Yeah. And so like, oh no, it was a great show, but that was like my mom's music. You know what I mean? And like, I liked that. But like,
yeah.
Tom
I can
Petty
see that. Yeah.
And Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers though was like, that was the first album that I got where it was okay. Like, they were okay with me listening to whatever. But like, I just remember like that whole album sung to me. Like it just like spoke to me. And like that was the first album that because this was before Cabin Days. That was the first album I experienced before I knew that term, like experiencing an album.
Let's
you know
tell
what I
people
mean?
What that
Like,
means in our estimation.
Jacko always explained it as like how you had to like when you got a new album, you had to experience it, and so it's a very intimate process where you have to like you go home with the album, and please correct me at any point if I get any if I misrepresent this at all. So you get the CD, and then you have to go home, and you have to go into your room, and you have to turn out all the lights and you have to put the CD on and turn out all your lights, and then you have to stand there with your arms out like this, and like your eyes closed,
sometimes naked.
That's
the Jacko original part.
And then you have to wait for the like CD to start, and then you have to like you pantomime with it, like and like do all the. Is that right? Is that like...
That's amazing. See, you do have an amazing ear for conversation. Like that's a document. That's from like an interview, I think, that he gave. That's almost verbatim. I'm gonna post it to the Twitter. But like you
really?
Oh yeah. Remember, I don't have a nickname for her, but Marv's ex-wife. Remember she did that U2 project?
Oh yeah,
in school?
yeah.
That is, what you just said is perfect for almost verbatim for what Jacko describes as experiencing in that documentary that I helped her make in 1999.
But he never deviated from that. Like he never 1999. Yeah, he never deviated from that description. That's how I knew he actually did that. Like
sure. I know that room too. Like he
he had that basement room and
all the light. Yeah.
Wait,
and so you
and
did
that's how
that? Or you just
no, but intended? I mean, but like even then, like I knew it wasn't like that's how Jackson experienced to get that music, to open his soul up to that music.
Right.
So that's what I mean when I say that was the first album I experienced before knowing the term experiencing. Was like that was the first song or first album that just like this is fucking it, man. Like music is like it can change you, you know. And
where did you most often listen to it? Like so you didn't do what you just described, but do you have specific memories of like when you hear those songs that take you back to well, you probably weren't driving, but you know, like where were you listening?
No, when Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, I was just on the cusp of driving, but like I was in a band my freshman year of high school.
Oh my God, you know a guy. You think you know a guy? Say more about that.
It was just a little rap band.
I'm sorry. Did you say rap?
No, no, Jesus.
Because that would blow my mind.
I mean, just meaning like it was just a little like high school band. It was me and some friends. That Fine Line was the name of the band. And I might actually have access to like a demo tape of that band. Like I was the singer in that band, actually.
Jesus God, find it. Who else is in this band? I'll track them down.
I don't have nicknames for all these people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we
but I'll get access. I'll get access to that. Don't worry. I'll find that somewhere.
Was it Fine Line?
Yeah, FINELINE. Fine Line.
Palmer's high school band. I love that I'm writing those words.
And so around that time, it was right before we started driving into right when I started driving. And all of my friends around that time we were all kind of going through that stage, like where like one of them was just starting drugs and drinking, and well, we were all drinking then.
Wait, what was the age again? Because I was mixed up on the years. It was high school?
Yeah, like freshman, like 8th grade into 9th grade.
Okay.
Into 10th grade, maybe. We were all drinking a lot, like scary a lot.
How would you get alcohol? That was such a foreign thing to me.
We all worked in a restaurant, and like seriously, restaurants are like the gateway to anything you would ever want to, like any illicit thing you'd ever want to do. I feel like there's like I could have got like I just think of how it was booze. How I'm so, like I always say, like I'm so lucky that I'm so lucky that we didn't grow up in the like heroin epidemic that's happening right now.
Oh,
that
Jesus. Yeah.
I could have just as easily got swept up in
our
that,
our hometown. Yeah.
Especially in our hometown, right? And so yeah, we would get booze from there. But like it,
what town was that restaurant?
Mike's on the Square in Wadsworth. It doesn't exist anymore, so I can say that in Wadsworth.
Oh shit!
It was off the Square.
Was it by?
It was across from the coffee shop that you used to play at all the time.
The Sonnets Coffee. Oh my God! Yeah.
You worked there. It was a Mexican restaurant.
Oh, it was. Yeah. Oh,
but
Jesus.
it used to be a family restaurant for the longest time. It was a family restaurant, and that I bust tables there
and got booze.
Yeah, and like we would throw parties all the time, and so
in the restaurant.
No. Like at one of our friends' house, his parents would have parties upstairs, and then we would have parties downstairs, and we'd hit up the cook. We'd be like, "Hey, can you get us this?" And he'd get it for us, and we'd be good. But
wow.
So it's like all that stuff's happening, and the Tom Petty album comes out, and that was the first thing. Honestly, like the reason I sang "Free Falling" on the cabin thing is because when I was in Fine Line, I listened to the Tom Petty album all the time, and I had just started driving, and that I would listen to that all the time while I was driving, and I would sing along with it. And like multiple people were like, Fine Line should do a Tom Petty song because you can you sound just like Tom Petty. And that like stuck in my head. But then it gets to cabin night, and like I was so nervous, and like just like I sang like shit.
I imagine it now like Jerry Maguire when Free Falling comes on.
Oh yeah.
He's like looking through the radio trying to find something that it like expresses how he's feeling, and he hits on that.
Yeah.
And that moment where he gives the extra free.
Yeah.
That's how I picture you driving. Like I picture you driving the Laser, which I'm sure you weren't at the time, but
no, I was driving the 83 Buick Riviera. Like that was a great car. Big white shark. So back to the night of the concert. Let's back up to that.
Yeah, but thank you. That was a very worthwhile detour for me.
Oh no, not at all. And so they had asked when they were all saying it. They said like, I hope he plays Wildflowers. I hope he plays Wildflowers and You Don't Know How It Feels. I'm like, guys, those are all like Tom Petty solo songs. Like that's Wildflowers is a solo album. Like this is the Heartbreakers 40th anniversary. I would think he would want to play all Heartbreakers songs, like because it's their anniversary tour. And sure enough, he played like 4 or 5 songs from his solo career, and I felt really bad for them. Like that, like that would have been the only thing. Is just like because they're walking out. I heard at least 5 Tom Petty and the Heartbreaker songs that people are like, oh, I was hoping they were going to play this. And I was like, yes, there's another one. So it's like, were all of those Tom Petty solo songs, while they're all crowd favorites, like Wildflowers is a crowd favorite, and You Don't Know How It Feels, of course, is going to get the crowd riled up. It's still like it's your Heartbreakers 40th anniversary. That was the only thing.
Did they? So was he with the Heartbreakers, then went solo and then came back, kind of thing prior to? No,
I think he just does. Like I think he just does whatever. I mean, it's just like with the Traveling Wilburys, like he just, because he is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, he can be Tom Petty and anything.
But is it a distinction that he comes back to time, or he hasn't like played with them for a long time?
Oh no, like I think he does come back to them from time to time. Like I think they were touring when that Greatest Hits album came out. That's why that album came out.
Oh, okay.
Was they were trying to spark like something for a tour. And then I think something in the 2000s they toured together again.
Okay.
Yeah. But and in like between that time,
music, or
what's that?
Did they make new music?
You know what? I can't remember if they did or not. that's one career. Like I did stop buying new. Like it's same with Pearl Jam. Like I stopped buying new stuff.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
But
I know like
because it's not the stuff that I like. I liked that made me like them. It's never gonna like. You just come to that realization, I think, where it's like it's never going to be as good as the stuff that made you like them. So you should just like be happy. Like
that is and isn't true, but it's largely true, I would say, for someone who's a stickler and really follows people's careers. But it can be very, very rewarding to stick with folks. They'll
I agree with you
sometimes.
I agree with you 100%.
One of my very favorite Pearl Jam albums is Riot Act 2002. Seriously, like that's one of my very favorites.
Oh wow,
yeah,
but I can see that. Like
I couldn't tell you why exactly, and it's not I don't think it's a fan favorite, but it's a favorite of mine.
Year Zero is my favorite Nine Inch Nails album.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing to me where I'm like, I was thinking about that today because you had texted me about the opening of the package that we never did.
That we never did it.
Yeah.
Did you ever open it? Did you open it?
No, I haven't opened it.
Oh, geez.
It's right here. Hold on. I'm not going to open it because I know what happens. But
that's commitment.
Well, I actually hold on. That's crazy, is what it is. That is pure 100% crazy.
Because you paid for that. You paid for it, and it still isn't open yet.
Yeah. So I ordered this in December when. Yeah, like Trent Reznor announced in probably like January of 2016. He's like, there'll be new Nine Inch Nails this year, other stuff too. And then in December of 2016, finally made good on the new Nine Inch Nails. Like, I think just because he said that, and it was this EP, not the actual events, is what it's called. And there was supposed to be a physical component to this, and it was right around the time that Nine Inch Nails launched a new website. That their whole thing was this like vinyl. They're starting to create like this definitive edition of their catalog, and with vinyl releases. There were some vinyl releases like along the way. I have Pretty Hate Machine. I have most of them on some kind of vinyl, but it wasn't the vinyl craze wasn't what it is now, and. So he's creating these like definitive editions. You get a high resolution digital download, and that you can choose, wave or whatever.
Right.
And then you can get these physical components that are largely vinyl. But for this, it was just called physical component, and it's this like, and they had like this black rectangle, but it turns out to be this thing with this sticker that says if you open this, it'll make a mess. And we talked about it for months now, and I'm sure there's people opening it online all over the place, and I have yet to do so.
I think the sequel to Year Zero is in there. That's what I think it is.
Okay, wait. So let me get into this with you. It's not a big thing, but it does have a couple of like details. So in the last few weeks, where is it? So I ordered that. I ordered the Broken, which is their 1992 EP. I wrote the definitive edition of Broken on vinyl and stuff, and something that they were calling Deviations, which is essentially a expanded, reworked instrumental version of the Fragile, their 1999 album. But so something happened, and eventually like they took the store offline. And then 9 days ago, I get this email that starts that all of it is in caps. And it's like, it just says store update, and then it starts in bold: 2 apologies, a statement, and a question. And it says, apology 1. First, as some of you may know, we are changing our fulfillment partner, blah, blah, blah. It goes on. There's some problems. And actually, I'll just read this. It's relatively short, but this email says everything about like the Trent Reznor's commitment to like quality and his art and the people that patronize it. So
in a Year Zero sequel.
There is something like that at the end, so you'll like that.
Yes!
Yeah, so it says, apology 1. First, as some of you may know, we are changing our fulfillment partner. I have not been happy with Firebrand for a variety of reasons, and we are now partnering with Sandvag. I'm sorry it's taken as long as it has to make this change, and I apologize for any aggravation you may have experienced on this front. Your support is very much appreciated, and I assure you there's been an extraordinary amount of screaming done on my end. You deserve better. Apology
No.
2. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there's two apologies, a statement, and a question. Apology 2. The vinyl releases for Deviations, not the actual events, and the reissues have been delayed, as many of you are aware. The blame for this lies with me and my team. We ran into a variety of quality control issues with the audio and various aspects of the artwork. Then we got obsessive about getting it right. At some point, these fuck-ups started to add up to a substantial delay that I wasn't fully aware of till recently. Again, I'm sorry for the delay here, but the intention has been to get this uncompromisingly right. Here's the updated, accurate, bearing an act of God timeline for shipping. Deviations will ship at the end of June. All other titles will begin to ship at the beginning of August. If you have ordered any of these titles, you will receive an email when your order has shipped. If you would like a complete refund, keeping the digital files, we get it. Click here. If you have any, because you got the digital files immediately, which of course I haven't listened to,
right.
because crazy and whatever. But if you have any questions about your order and would like to contact Sandbag customer service, click here. Additionally, everyone with an outstanding vinyl order will receive a discount code for 20% off your next purchase. This code is good for one use and unique to you. You will receive that code via an email in the next 24 hours. Okay, so those are the apologies. Here's the statement. We are taking all measures available to make sure any pre-orders from nin.com arrive in your hands before they are available anywhere else. I know how frustrating it is when this isn't the case, like what happened with Before the Flood, which is a soundtrack they did. I assumed we already had this practice in place. I was incorrect. And here's the question. Finally, did you know that there's a new top secret 9 Inch Nails EP that will be released before the first shows we are to do this summer? Did you know Not the Actual Events was the first part of a trilogy of related EPs that will be released about 6 to 8 months apart? Now you do. More information on this shortly. Thank you, Trent.
Jesus.
Now, I telegraphed the fact that it was Trent Reznor at the beginning, but I didn't know as a guy just reading that. Like, you don't get a fucking email from Eddie Vedder, you know, like, or Bono.
Right.
It's pretty,
right.
I mean, sometimes, but Bono maybe. But anyway, so I don't think it's exactly year zero explicitly. So anyway, we've not been told, but this whole thing feels that way, right? Like I don't know if you listen to that EP, and I haven't listened to it a lot, to be honest, but
I have not.
It's it definitely is in that vein. Like, so I like my 9 Inch Nails to be this kind of introspective first person, you know, exploration of like one guy's psyche that sort of relates to other people. But your favorite is Year Zero, which is this kind of fictional world that he's created. And Not the Actual Events is definitely of that ilk, while actually connecting to certain things from previous records. Like there's literal thing. Like if you go online, there's literal, there's a 9 Inch Nails Wikipedia that like, cause his fans are as obsessive about details as he is, which is awesome. And there's correlations there drawn, between certain specific lines from like songs on the Downward Spiral. It's interesting. He's blending the worlds of his kind of fictional Year Zero scenario that, you know, almost became a TV show and all that stuff with his previous sort of more, I mean, semi-autobiographical work. Anyway, so I think this is ultimately the sequel to Year Zero, and it's going to be out. I mean, the first installment is out and free. Not the Actual Event, which I've yet to open the physical component to, which is mostly like I don't know what it is. Fuck, I haven't opened it, but I kind of know.
So is that supposed to also have like a CD in it?
No, I don't think it does.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't think it does.
See, no, because this is the thing is like Year Zero on its own is an amazing concept album.
Yeah, that's as far as I didn't get to that word.
As concept albums are. It's just a great concept album, you know?
It's all there in the artwork and everything.
In the artwork and everything. But then when you add the ARG, the alternate reality game that like he contracted this company to build this real world game, this thing that act like in game is like, that's a relative term, game.
Mm-hmm.
So he hired this like promotional company to create this ARG, and it brought the world that is in an album. There's no visual component to it. There's no written component to it. It's just that music that it creates, right? But like, his music is so emotional anyways. You get all like it's like the audio version of 1984, right? And
yeah.
And so it's just a very cinematic album. When you listen to it, you can just see the pictures in your head that it creates, and it pulls that into, like, the ARG pulls it into the real world so that you actually get to interact with it in real, like that. If you're watching a movie, it makes it more real because you can see it happening. You can kind of imagine like that happens somewhere. And if you're reading a book, then it all happens in your imagination. You can, again, see it happening. But in music, it's really rare, for me anyways, that you're seeing the pictures of what they're singing about in there. You're just hearing, like, I typically just hear the music, and like, instead of seeing the visuals in my head like I do when I'm reading, in my head, what's going on is the emotional reaction to either what the lyrics are saying or the movement of the piece itself or what have you. That's what's going on in my head. But rarely there is music, though, that is what I call cinematic. And Year Zero, the whole album is that way for me. It just, like, it creates a picture in my mind, like a movie that I watch while I'm listening to that album. That most music doesn't do that for me.
You know what music intentionally did that 30 years ago?
What's that?
The Joshua Tree.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They talked about that
man.
very much, and very specifically, you two talked about wanting to make cinematic music.
Wow.
Actually, Bruce Springsteen, too, in Darkness on the Edge of Town a little bit. But that's a little bit more like gritty indie film. Whereas U2's Joshua Tree, they were looking to make... Well... Oh, so this gets into my Dave's digs ultimately, which I just realized you didn't know.
I had a because I had a good segue to my Palmer's Pleasure off of that.
From that, really? Do you think you go there from Joshua Tree? You want to go first? We can just it away.
No, because I think this will work, because my Palmer's Pleasure concept is like, I started a new thing and it's concept albums, like a new.
Let's do that first.
Okay,
because that makes sense. Well, I don't know, cinematic music concept albums. Fuck it, we already did the. Let's go with the Joshua Tree.
Now get ready. We're gonna play some rock and roll. It's alive! It's alive!
I have been expecting that.
Is a bad guy. Can we go, please?
No, I'm enjoying it.
What are you? I'm Batman.
Who's a grumpy bastard? Yeah, I'm a grumpy bastard.
What's going on?
Why don't you tell me a story?
What do you mean?
Listen, punk. I don't need you.
Don't think, feel.
Talk hard.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Are you ready?
So what I have here is something slightly different, and it is the Joshua Tree, U2's album. So what I did is I ordered the 30th anniversary deluxe vinyl box set.
Okay.
And I started to open it, and it was so substantial that I was like, wait a second. Let's make this a thing. And so what I did is I've heard of unboxing videos. I think I was kind of going to do that.
Another guilty YouTube pleasure of mine is unboxing videos.
Really?
They're so exciting.
Well, I don't know if mine was exciting. It was my first, and I did it really hastily last night. So I did that. I started to open it before, and I was like, no, let's wait. But so I have this YouTube video. It's unlisted as of now, but by the time the episode airs, we'll be sharing it and stuff. So I thought I'd share it with you. I narrate it, so I don't need to talk. But all
right.
Can
I click this URL in the thing?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. I'm gonna hit play in 3 and 3.
Okay. So we're gonna unbox the 30th anniversary Joshua Tree vinyl packaging.
So you're playing Joshua Tree
So,
on
full
vinyl
disclosure,
and
I
about to
actually
open a Joshua Tree on vinyl?
begin opening this before, but then decided it was. Yeah, I'm playing. I'm playing
my
more vintage
and,
copy. Ultimately,
Got it.
Something I wanted to film, so we'll recreate this part. Well, first, just say this thing came in a box from. I'm turning this down a little bit. From Amazon. It was fucking huge. I did get the. I don't know if there is a CD version, but I got the vinyl version. And so yeah, it's 12 pounds in a box within a box here. Just toss that off to the side. So
12 pounds in a box in a box.
As far as I got.
That sounds like a night at college for me.
And that's when I stopped to first share it maybe with the bride, and now ultimately with you folks. So, ooh,
Or a night at the Grant.
that'll do nicely.
Box in a box.
Super deluxe
With my
vinyl
12-pound
box
wing.
set. Don't mind if I do.
That thing is gorgeous.
Here. Beer. Cheers. Let's keep that safe. Scissors. Nearby. Yes. Okay. Whoa. All right.
My goodness.
Oh man, it says 30 celebrating 30 years of U2's iconic album, The Joshua Tree. This collector's, well, let's find out. So,
I've missed like 7 That's What She Said's too so far.
nice gold embroidery everywhere. Ooh, that's a sticker. Shit.
First conundrum, the sticker.
Try
I
to
do
save
this
the
too
sticker.
because you got to save the sticker. I learned that shit from you. These crazy neuroses, I learned from you, Dave. Do you know how many fucking Blu-rays I have with stickers stuck on the inside label so I didn't lose them because of you?
I've been doing that too with my Bruce Lee things that just came out.
That's it's such bullshit. You don't need the stickers.
No, you do. I'll give you a lot of reasons why.
Those stickers are never gonna do anything.
They make me happy to see.
It feels really nice. Like, ooh, there's
And you too, I can tell.
smaller Joshua Tree.
You too.
on the back. And then it sort of
That was a
says
good play.
in the inimitable font there on the side. All right, let's see.
I love it that you're playing where the streets have no name during this though. That's the best part.
yeah.
Like that's my favorite. That's my favorite U2 song and my favorite song on the Joshua Tree.
That's gonna work. It's a learning experience, folks. Oh man. All right, I'm just gonna pour these out. Whoa. Oh yeah, that's nice.
That is gorgeous.
Okay, so first, of course, we got a newly remastered, I'm sure, and pressed version of the album that looks identical as to how one might picture it. So,
Way thick, but way
open it.
thicker.
Oh, that's interesting. So this is business as usual. Oh,
Oh, it's a photo record.
so these are the kind of picture sleeves. Oh, cool. It comes with that you could put these records in, and these are familiar, but pictures nonetheless not used in the original packaging. And there's additional photographs here on the records themselves. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that vinyl is
Oh,
gorgeous.
Oh, I see. Oh, so they break it up into two albums. I'm guessing for fidelity. Actually, I gotta admit, I'm not crazy about that.
Yeah, why would they break it into 2
sacred
records?
about the sides of an album, particularly classic albums.
I learned that from you
They're
too.
sequenced carefully, and you got your cornerstones of sides.
How does that mean audio quality? Because the record still
first
spins
on
at the
side
same thing. You can still cram the
Last
same
on
number of
side
lines
one,
on the
first
record.
side 2, etc. So to break it up into 4 sides, I don't know.
All right, I'm
I love
sorry.
that. That's all right. Feels great. Ooh, yes.
I said I'm sorry, and in the video you're like, that's all right.
Like a still from the film.
Like right
footage.
after that. That was awesome.
Yeah. So
That's
this is one
past
of the
Dave looking
shows
out for future
filmed
Dave.
September 28th, 1986,
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden for the Rattle and Hum tour documentary, or the Joshua Tree tour documentary that became Rattle and Hum. Holy shit. Yeah. Oh, wow. That is very cool. So again, you can put the vinyl albums here in these picture sleeves. Oh wow. Executive producer and creative director Gavin Friday, their old friend. That's very cool. Cover image still from the movie Rattle and Hum. Yeah, bitch. Woohoo. Oh man, that's rad. I was not expecting that. And so, and these two also have sort of picture labels. Oh, that's fucking awesome. So I have heard, so the wow. Sorry, I can't speak. Looking for me. Don't look at the writing. What's wrong with you? I still haven't found what I'm looking for in this concert is the one track from the show I'd be familiar with because it appeared on the Rattle and Hum album with the gospel choir.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's fucking cool. That's yeah, that'll do nicely. Okay, this thing, rarity outtakes, remixes, outtakes, and B-sides. Holy fuck. So these are some new ones here. It looks like One Tree Hill, Bullet the Blue Sky, Running Standstill. Oh, that's interesting though. So Bullet the Blue Sky is remixed by Jack Knife Lee, who did some stuff for them in more recent years. But of course Daniel Lanois goes back to the Joshua Tree era, and him remixing Running Standstill is pretty cool. Oh, look at that. Red Hill Mining Town, Steve Lillywhite 2017 mix, Where the Streets Have No Name, Flood remix, With or Without You, Daniel Lanois remix, all from, for the production team from the time. And this is, in itself, is very heavy. Silver and
That's what she
Gold,
said.
Sun City, Beautiful Ghosts, Songs of Experience, Wave of Sorrow, Desert of Our Love, Rise Up, Drunk Chicken / America. I won't read all but essentially, other than those remixes I just read, those are previously available kind of B-sides and such. Oh, but this is fucking awesome. Whoa. It's got kind of February 86 dated track sheets as kind of the background of the artwork. Whoa. And some lyrics, it looks like. Oh, very, very fucking cool. All right. Wow. She's a tightrope. Oh, looks like some Walk to the Water lyrics. Wow, this has already turned out to be way more worthwhile than I was anticipating. Jesus. God's Country, Sand and Stone, oh man. And it looks like, oh jeez, that's so fucking cool. And so then damn, look at all that. Really heavy duty vinyl. Really.
Bet a nickel for every time I had a lady say that to me.
Wow.
Damn, look at all that.
So all of these, like, the Joshua Tree in and of
I'd have a
itself
couple nickel.
could be and it will be an album you can, I'm sure, get separately. Now spread across 4 sides, which kind of sucks. But like the live album, this is like a box set in of itself. These outtakes, Jesus Christ. And now we got Joshua Tree YouTube photographs by Anton Corbin. Oh, so these are just a selection of prints taken from the Joshua Tree session. So it looks like an album. But it's actually just photographs. Oh, yeah. And I've seen a lot, and I've got a bunch of stuff near me that I was going to drag out in comparison, or to talk about what would be my ideal Joshua Tree packaging, or what all it would include, but that would be an hour-long video. But these prints are actually little seen. and unfamiliar to even me. Not all of them, but oh, that's cool. Get one on there. Very lanterns. Put the lids at the edge. Adam Clayton. Very, very cool. Oh man, that's great. I was not expecting that. So that's just like a little portfolio here.
It's like they made this just for you,
Another
Dave.
album, but so that it fits in with the packaging. Put it back in later if I don't get it here. Yeah.
They're like, we need to get that $200 from Dave. How are we gonna get that $200 from Dave in Minnesota? Let's just take all the shit we have and throw it into one box. One 12-pound box.
Oh wow. Oh, you know what's crazy too is that there's a bunch of stuff off camera that I intended to bring on for what would have been, what would be my ideal Joshua Tree box set. 30th anniversary edition on vinyl, of course.
That you already own all the components to.
I mean, separately.
But you
though.
still, yeah. But separately though, that's where the sickness is. Shit. That is awesome.
Oh, thank you for watching. I hope it was somewhat entertaining. For our,
but that is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, that album, aside from just being fantastic and impacting a million people's lives, will always have a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah, where is it? Where's the tattoo?
On my leg.
Yeah.
Like
you'll have to tweet a photo of it.
I will tweet a picture. I have the Joshua Tree tattooed on my leg with lyric, which is funny because Where the Streets Have No Name is my favorite song, but lyrics from Running to Stand Still is what I have around it, because those lyrics though happen at the time definitely spoke to me a lot.
What's the lyric for those listening?
Cry without weeping and scream without raising your voice.
Want to say more about that or no? It's okay if no.
No, I mean, it just like, I guess they still kind of do speak to me a little bit, although I've gotten better. I felt like a lot of the time in my life, like I had to just like tread lightly and not really got to express myself, which is maybe why I'm such an asshole now. It's because like I just had all this like pent up time in my 20s, like growing up through to my 30s, before I finally just got fed up and was just like, fuck it. And now I'm just bitter. But I did always feel like I had to, like, I was always like, just not getting really ready, or I wasn't able to fully express myself. I don't know.
That makes perfect sense, actually. And I went through a similar thing. I'm a very easygoing guy to most people, till I'm not.
Right. Right.
And it took me a while to figure out that it's best to be honest about that stuff along the way, especially in really important relationships. Like sometimes you have to, grin and bear it. But like I found kind of too late, marriage too late at least, and probably other relationships I don't know about, that it's important to be honest about your feelings and not hide when you're upset, and just express it and hopefully move on quickly. And
it's just like, I mean, honesty is the best policy, and transparency and is something that I add to that, like be transparent and be honest. No matter how difficult it is, just get it out and get it over with.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on about the Joshua Tree, and actually I have not listened to that. So, like, really, my digs for the week is the fucking physical. Like, I've got it here.
Yeah.
12 pounds sounds lighter than this feels. Like, it is so heavy. It's so goddamn
That's
great.
what she said.
I mean, I could easily do a show on the Joshua Tree, on that album, etc.
Right.
I had hoped to get into what my ideal version, ultimate edition would be, but like, yeah, it's fucking too much.
We still have book club to get to, and we're an hour 45 in on recording.
What I'll just say quickly about other than just like that, my digs is that magnificent package that they put together. My digs is that magnificent package.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what
I want.
But so
that was my Dick's nickname in college, actually. Magnificent package.
There will never be a more perfect one of those. That's amazing. Yeah. You are on fire tonight. Oh shit.
So.
Oh, but the one thing I wanted to say about that whole Joshua Tree thing, I'm not gonna get into the album or anything, but they are doing a 30th anniversary tour where they play the whole Joshua Tree album, as well as some other things that, because the Joshua Tree is about America in the mid 80s from the perspective of Europeans. So Reagan, so this is kind of interesting into where we're going with the book club. Reagan was the president. You know, he had a fucking entertainer as our president in the early 80s for the first time. Unfortunately, not the last. And for Europeans, U2 in particular, they're very fascinated by what Bono and company would always call the idea of America. And a lot of the Joshua Tree, I think, comes from not only those ideas and their touring over here in America and being accepted, but also they're just for Double D and anyone else keeping track of references. Check out the Wim Wenders movie, Paris, Texas, if you're intrigued by this idea of a European's perception of America in the mid 80s. It is one of the most gorgeous movies you'll ever see. It's Harry Dean Stanton, Natasha Kinski, like Texas, you know, in the early 80s. But it's this idea of cinematic music. That's what they were talking about. Ed, Bono, Adam, Larry, they wanted to express their thoughts about the possibilities and the idea of America. And all those photos, like in the thing that Anton Corbijn took that are in the, you know, the LP from 1987, and also in this new deluxe reissue, it kind of portrays U2 as these pilgrims in America. And so it's very much about the idea of America. So this 30th anniversary tour celebrates the album. There's this new, edition, but also U2 were in the midst of, like, they put out songs of innocence, and that was the thing that came on everyone's iPhone for free. But actually, was there, like, I love U2. I love U2 like very few bands. I owe so much of, like, the good things in my life that have come out of U2, like where there's a Cabin Kids, or literally meeting my wife at a U2 concert in 2005 by happenstance. But I do not like, the only U2 album I do not like is 2009's No Line on the Horizon. And part of that, oddly enough, is because it's a concept album that has no, like, personal connection to the band, really. It's like this story, like the special deluxe version of that is like this movie where you watch it happen. And I don't know, it didn't work for me. And there's some fucking ludicrous lyrics on that album. Like there's a song where it's like reboot yourself. It's like clean the trash. It's like this dumb computer protocol. It's just kind of a lot of hollow. It's just not meaningful at all. Like a lot of people who really respond to the music like that album, like not the lyrics. But people who care about the lyrics, they take a hard pass on that one. You might like it because the concept thing, maybe, now in retrospect. But they came back from that in a big bad way with Songs of Innocence, where they dug back into, like, when they were first getting into playing music and the things that, like, scarred them as youth to put them on this path. And that is a fucking great album, like Songs of Innocence. They're working on Songs of Experience. So this is a little bit bigger of a detour than I thought, but it's almost done. But I respond to that especially because the last album that I put out called The Furious Light, I literally entertained the idea of calling it Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience after the William Blake poems.
Got it.
Then U2 put out Songs of Innocence. I'm like, fuck, well, okay. Can't call it that. but what's awesome is, like, that it wasn't even just like, it was the same reference. So they had intended to put out another album in the next year or so called Songs of Experience. And they didn't. They got sort of derailed, and then fucking Trump happened, and they're like, well, we wrote all these songs, but they're not exactly relevant in the same way that we wanted them to be. And Edge can get very. The Edge, sorry. I don't know him that well. So he can get very perfectionistic, if that's a adverb. But so he's been obsessive about that follow-up. And they also just, like, decided that they would just think about it and make sure that it's relevant and retool. And Bono actually said on Jimmy Kimmel, he's like, I kind of, this tour, all this is like just to get Edge out of the studio and in front of people. It's like, hey, remember how fun this is? Because U2 has never much looked back. I mean, I'm a guy constantly looking back, sort of try to figure out.
Oh yeah, no,
where
they've grown. I feel like every album they've tried to grow into something else.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that it's a rare thing for them to look back in this way. But in some ways, I think they're giving themselves permission to do so because of the political climate right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm so excited. The bride has already been to an LA show that she was able to manage to get tickets to. She and I are going to see U2 in Dublin this summer.
Man.
It's my first trip
awesome.
abroad. We're going to stay at a hotel and like walk to the venue. And the last week, we managed to get what's called Red Zone tickets, which is VIP seating where you can be like right up by the rail, which is essentially where I met her in 2005.
Yeah,
by
yeah,
accident. Like that's a whole other.
That's a great
I was
story.
there by accident. She was there by design. So I'm gonna get to see this tour up close and relive this magnificent album. But it's very interesting why and how it's relevant today, and it's relevant, I think, in terms of what we're about to discuss in the Dead Zone, but I know before that you've got some concept album stuff, and also maybe Smokin Stats. We're gonna skip the shit the bride says, but
well, let's talk about concept albums because this will get into my Palmer's pleasure. So, we can roll that in.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zedco is proud to present
Palmer's pleasure.
Steamy.
No, please, no, too sexy.
My pleasure is my Palmer's pleasure. It's really concept albums. That's my current pleasure. But I got to that because Ash and I signed up for YouTube Red, which I don't know why it took us this long to do that. But we dropped cable. We dropped all, like, we're down to just internet. That's all. Like, we were that originally. And then Spectrum, when they bought Time Warner, or when they rebranded as Spectrum, like, they came in and they were like, here's this awesome deal. And it was a pretty good deal. And we signed up for it. Then I was like, cable sucks. Like, I was like, in this day and age, like, it gets to the point where you're just like, this sucks. Like, because we were never watching anything live. We didn't DVR one thing in the 3 months that we had cable. All we did was do the on demand. And I'm like, well, we do that on Netflix and Amazon Prime anyway. So what the hell? Why do we have cable? Like, why pay all this money for cable? So we dropped that. And I was like, but we're spending $10 to get rid of ads on YouTube. Because it's $10 a month for YouTube. Right? And that you get ad free. So it's like instant playing of your videos. You can play in the background on your devices. So like nice, you can just like queue up a song and then go to something else.
Moto's drooling right now because Moto listens to the show on YouTube. But of course,
really?
As someone who probably, I mean, I'm guessing he doesn't have Red, but
yeah,
I don't. You have to have your whole video up, and it like you can't.
Yeah. And that's a pain in the ass, and that is something that I think on Android devices you can. Listen.
We're on Android devices, thanks to you, sir. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're on Google Play Music, and actually, YouTube Red led to that as well, like us being listed on Google Play Music. So we signed up for YouTube Red. It's amazing. It's worth every cent of the $9.99 if you want an individual account, $14.99 if you want a family account for up to 5 users. In your Google family. Not
for nothing, but the Fragile came out on $9.99, September 9th, 1999.
Oh man. Have you ever played that in 2 stereos, left and right?
The Fragile?
Yeah. Isn't that the one that's got 2 discs left and right?
What now?
They're supposed to, supposedly if you take 2 stereos, 2 CD players and 2 stereos, and you start the right disc in the right stereo and the left. So like this, it's set up over here on the right and the left. And you start the CDs at the same time. They're supposed to play in conjunction with each other.
Whoa.
This is the first time you've heard that?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding? Oh my gosh. No, that's a real thing. Like, and like people swear that he intended that. No. I've always wanted like,
okay.
But like you basically sync up the two albums so they play together. Like
Jesus.
With our kind of like recording expertise, we should be able to mix that together so that we could actually hear a legitimate copy.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, I can do that.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But that's the thing.
The Fragile.
You listen to the Fragile, both albums, like, because there's actually like the tracks match up where like it might be an instrumental on the right track. And then that's a song with lyrics on the left track, and the lyrics match up with the instrumental. Like if it really works like that, like again, this is another conspiracy theory, but if it really works like that, that is Mensa level genius. Like to be able to like build a whole song and then to pull out an instrumental of it and then still have a song that exists after it. Like that's.
I know he had trouble sequencing that album. Like he brought in someone special to help with that because he had all this music over a few years span of time. Oh, that'd be amazing.
I heard he had like, because that wasn't that also like one of the first albums that maybe not one of the first, but I heard he had like there were some tracks, some songs for the Fragile that he had. I mean, there was like hundreds of tracks in them, like just.
Oh,
like different audio tracks.
I'm sure that's true. I know the thing with the Fragile was it was meant to be a lot of physically played instruments. So I think one of the first times he had infinite options was in Broken. Like he was pissed off. That was an album or an EP rather, but kind of on the caliber of an album, EP in length, caliber of work of like of a major work of an album. He was under contract to this TVT. Trent Reznor was under contract to TVT Records, who was kind of holding him hostage as he suddenly blew up and became a very cool band on the merits of that album. Right. And that album is a much more kind of Depeche Mode sound, but the live vibe of Nine Inch Nails and the Lollapalooza in 1991 and stuff was super aggressive, way more so than the album, which is also awesome. But they wanted to capture that, but there was some issues with TVT, which mostly had a reputation for putting out like TV soundtracks. So, and they kind of wanted, like, if you ever hear, so there's, you can find it online. I think, so I always heard that they signed Trent Reznor based on this demo that wasn't what they wanted. So I think I've heard this demo, and it's called The Purest Feeling in the Common, if you can find it. There's a couple songs, like one or two, where you could hear it's like, oh, this kind of pop synth 80s vibe, not the digging deep, like ugly Nine Inch Nails that we would come to know and love. But I can imagine that might be what appealed to TVT. So they signed him on the basis of this demo. There's no Head Like a Hole yet. There's a couple things missing, but the rest of it's there. And then he turns on this album. They're like, this is not what we want. And they try to kind of bury it. And they really try to like keep him from being able to make and release music. So in secret, he creates this album Broken and a accompanying. Do you know about the Broken home video thing?
Is that the one where he's like shaving his head that Crow did?
Not exactly. So he's super angry. Like Trent Reznor, he's probably angry already, right? But he's getting somewhere.
This is actually very informative because this
is a concept album.
I'm sure this all is what created his like anti-label.
It is absolutely
mentality. Like is this experience, right? Like
yes.
I mean, to the point now, because now he's at the point where his catalog is essentially like you got an email from him, and like his catalog is like available, right? Like you can like access it and remix it as a fan, and like he releases stuff that you can do. Like he wants you to like that. I mean, So all this helps explain that.
Oh yeah, but the broken thing is that I was thinking about all these tracks. So he's pissed off, can't really record officially, holes up in like New Orleans somewhere with some guys, including like Marilyn Manson, who would eventually become Marilyn Manson.
Right.
And makes the most fucking angry, dense, ugly piece of work he possibly could. And he says like there's like 100 tracks. It just layer upon layer of like anger and filth.
Yeah.
And ultimately they took that sentiment. Oh, excuse me, sorry. So far into making this like home video with, I think it's Peter Christopherson, that's not available because it can't be, because it is literally inspired by Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, the movie with Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
It starts as this thing where like you can find it. I found it in the mid 90s and they posted on Vimeo for like half a second, but like you can find it on torrents and stuff. It's a snuff film set to the idea, the concept of a serial killer picking up a kid, not a kid, but like a young adult man on the sidewalk, taking him back to some undisclosed location and torturing him while making him watch music videos one at a time for each of the songs on this EP Broken.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's like the most extreme fucked up concept album, if you could say that.
Yeah.
But let's get back to your idea of like, the concept album. Sorry. If you bring up nine, there's like it's like I said, there's 5 things. You bring them up, you're gone. Like there's no.
This is all good stuff. And I mean, I get to work from home tomorrow, so if we go late, we go late. No big deal. So I have YouTube Red. It's and the reason I gave the prices and all that stuff, so you get ad free, you get original content, original YouTube content. So YouTube, there are people who have come to YouTube at this point and said we want this to be exclusive content, and it's like more legit. I don't want to say legitimate, like, but more mainstream or established artists.
Oh, so like because YouTubers as a thing has become like a real currency in the last few years. So I'm guessing that's these folks.
And then the original, then the other half of the originals are actual YouTubers that YouTube has gone to and said, will you make something for this like an original show?
And the same way too, that like, so you get the YouTubers, but I'm guessing as a platform like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon, there are people going to YouTube as a distributor.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So like that would also be in that content. And so all of that is awesome. And Ash and I are really like digging that. But then in addition to that, you also get, for your paid subscription to YouTube Red, you get access to Google Play Music for free, which is like Spotify Premium for free, which this is my first forte into a service like that. But there's no reason to have any music now. Like they're like, it's
Let's
just like
right there.
I know, like I like.
It depends on who you are, but I understand.
Yeah. No, but but it's like that U2 thing is amazing, right? And I didn't mean that as like a dig. As like that was made for you. I would never get something like that, like because it would just end up becoming something that just like sat there. I know you'll get that out and you'll enjoy it.
That's what she
like, and you'll enjoy every inch of that.
That's what she
And like,
said.
I'll just pull the records out and I'll listen to the records. And then the rest of it would just, and then the rest of it is just so that I can say like, hey, I have this awesome box set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That I've never looked at or never like gone through or anything like that. And so,
believe me, when we moved, the bride literally hated me. She told me later, it's like, I hate you. And I couldn't figure out why. It's because of all your shit.
Yeah. So, that's where this like Google Play Music is really awesome, because now, I mean, I have this. You've seen pictures of my desk. I have computers that are just sitting there that I'm not using, but I need to get on them to get stuff off of them.
Yeah.
I have a whole 4 terabyte server that has all of my MP3 collection on it. And it's just sitting there unplugged because I'm just dreading the time that it's going to take to pull all that stuff off of it.
What's the bit rate you go on there? On the
What do you mean?
MP3s? Do you know? Have you?
Oh, I have no idea. No.
Okay. Because I mean, yeah, obviously we established I'm kind of crazy about like having physical things. In the last few years, I have, finally adopted like getting digital, whatever, iTunes and stuff. But like, they're MP3s I can hear. Like, so sometimes the bride's cousin who loves music and will aggregate it in this way will share some. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Is this?
I've been waiting for 20 minutes to open this werewolf right now for a gap in the conversation. And I'm so fucking thirsty. I need to open this beer. So there it is. I've been waiting for the break. Take your screenshot.
Let me see your face, dude. I love it. Oh. I think eventually, if we don't like this like 2-week thing, the solution is to do far less editing, which means just like leaving all crazy shit in. Like you cut it out when you go pee. And I think that might be where we're heading. But that kind of thing is so magnificent because it's just like, fuck this! I need to drink this werewolf beer.
I need this beer. I've been like, well, all right. On the next segue, I'm going to open it. On the next segue, I'm going to open it.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
I don't even know.
No,
what
but you
we're
wanted to
talking
get
about.
it.
I love that. I love that bottle. I love that the artwork.
It's just like terrible.
I love
like
that name.
Photo,
it's like that thing I talk about in episode. I think it's 25. The last one, like the split screen of David Banner or Bruce Banner, and the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, or
like John J. York and Werewolf 1987. Like, I fucking love that shit. And the beer itself sounds delicious. Oh, I gotta find it.
Oh, this is a Lithuanian beer.
Ooh. Where do you...
This is brewed in Rinkunsky. Was established in the year 1991 in Burzai, in the Burzai region known as the beer country in Lithuania.
Whoa. Nice.
All right.
I don't even...
Lithuanian werewolf. Now, this is... I was going to say this earlier. It says, you must be sure you want to taste it. That's the catch line. You must be sure you want to taste it. You see that on there?
That's magnificent.
Look at that. You must be sure you want to taste it.
Oh, I have no idea what we were talking about.
So we were leading to concept albums.
Yes.
I was talking about how like I would never buy the Joshua Tree thing, and then you were talking MP3 quality.
Cool. Oh yeah,
and then because that's what finally pushed me over, because I said MP3 and you were like, let me ask you a question. Hey,
MP3. No, so, sometimes you can tell.
So what you rip your MP3s at?
You're like, fuck this, I need a drink.
I'm like, you see this beer? Needs to get in my belly right now.
I'll tell you what, buddy, I tell you what, son, as they say in Rittman.
Did you say that in Rittman?
I'll tell you who says that. I wonder if they still say it, but Shane Brewer and Ryan Mushlock. That's who said that.
While we're on Rittman, so Ash was like, when she was live chatting with me while she was listening to episode 24, she was like, you for sure need to go out for a beer with Logan and Pumps.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I tried to make that happen, and then Pumps couldn't get out, but I went and had another beer with Logan. I met up with him again.
Awesome.
And she's like, and also one of these days over a piece of cake, you're going to have to explain to me how he got the nickname Pumps. and I just like,
well, I got it in documentary. I could send it to Ash.
Yeah. No, I told her, I was like, there was this kid who was at our high school who was probably one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life, and figured out really early that school was bullshit, because it kind of is. And was just kind of left to his own devices because he was a genius. And because he just refused to do anything, like teachers knew they weren't going to ever get him to do anything. But I said he one day pulled this, he always was reading, and he pulled a pocket dictionary out of his back pocket, and the two words at the top of the page he flipped to was pump and Russell. Pump Russell.
That's right.
And he just happened to look at, he was in study hall with Corey and was like, "You look like a Pumps Russell." And that's what we found out about it and blew it up. And she's like,
talking about James Love?
Yeah, that's how it went.
That's
right?
fucking awesome. That name sounds made up. It's so awesome.
Yeah. Well, and then she's like, "Well, what? Like, wait, his first name or his last name isn't Russell?" And I was like, "No, that was on the dictionary page. Like,
yeah,
it
no,
was
none
like,
of that is his actual name.
No, Pumps Russell is actually not his name at all. But this is his name." And I said his name, and I was like, "But that sounds like a nickname too."
Oh yeah,
and
that's such a badass name. Yeah,
it is such a badass name.
I'll say his middle name, Walker. Like,
oh, that's his middle name.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, sir.
As in the Texas Ranger Walker?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure his parents didn't mean that. But
no, but that show didn't even exist probably when he was born.
No,
but that's awesome. What his middle name is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that like again, you think you know a guy, but right. Jesus, that just
yeah.
That explains so much. He had a name to live up to. I mean, no, if that was your real actual name on your birth certificate, if you took his whole name, that would create a stigma when you're like, I gotta live up to that fucking name. I gotta burn shit down. I gotta fucking I gotta take over a country. I gotta do I should own a sword at all times, on my person,
Yeah, it explains a lot.
Karate.
Really,
I definitely need to know karate.
Oh, yeah.
There's just
gonna have to be in the military. Gonna have to know how to kill a guy with your bare hands.
Yeah,
it's required.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea Walker was his middle name. That is so fucking awesome.
It really is. It really, and his kid has an amazing name as well.
Yeah.
Well,
don't say it. It'll be a surprise.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he'll tell you.
Let me finish my Palmer's Pleasure. That's what we're still on, and then we got to get. I'm gonna do. So here's how this is gonna work. I'm gonna finish this Palmer's Pleasure, and then I'm gonna do a 30-second because I want to do a Smoking Stats.
Oh, please do. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'm gonna do a quick Smoking Stats, and then we're right into the book club because
hell yeah.
We got a lot to fucking talk. We got to wrap the book up. We're talking about the last section of the book right now. I
know.
Oh, gosh. It was so good. It's so good. Isn't it so good?
It is really good. I mean, they're all good, but we've had to consider it in such detail this time for the book club.
Yeah,
but it's
for the book club. I mean, it's so relevant, and it's just so tragic, and fuck Sarah though. I still fuck her. That's what I say.
Wow, you and Johnny
spit on her right in the hayloft.
Oh,
get out of here!
Really?
I got what I. Yeah.
All right.
No. Again,
we'll get into it because there's such a specific line about all that.
There is. Okay. So
concept albums.
This led to me. So now I literally have. There are 10,000 artists on Google Play Music at my fingertips. Entire albums, entire catalogs that I could just listen to and queue up and play. That's included, commercial free, stream them, all that stuff. That's included with my YouTube Red membership. For $10, because Apple Music is $10 a month too, and you get access to all of Apple's catalog, and Amazon, if you're Amazon Prime,
Google
you get
Play. Sorry, I was curious. I'm on Google Play. the two albums of mine that I make available to iTunes, etc. Google Play.
Yeah,
you can find it.
So literally, I've never been able to not find something. So, I've been looking for at work a way to. I mean, because our episodes come out, and I know this is another reason why I like the 2-week deal is because. I mean, if we put out a 3 or 4 hour long episode, that could take 2 weeks for somebody to get through.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and then
I'm so behind on my other podcasts.
yeah, and so I have the luxury that I have zone out work, and so when Tuesdays launch, I usually get through that episode before I leave work. Like I'll start it at some point in my morning and just power through it and have it done before I have to leave work. And so like I'll leave on Tuesday, like new Long Walk Short Drink launches on Tuesday, and I'll leave work on Tuesday, having already listened to it.
Nice.
And so in all those other days of the week, and now that we're doing the 2 every other week thing for the off week, I needed some way to, like, it was becoming too time intensive to just pick another album after one would end. Like I was spending too much time where I should have been working trying to pick an album. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I can
like,
understand.
Like when you have like the plethora of like just like, what's a plethora? Like that, like that's a Three Amigos line. Right.
You know what's crazy? And I'm embarrassed to admit, don't like this bring on the internet trolls, because I understand that they'll be mad. Don't like, especially, I don't like any of the Three Amigos.
Really?
Yeah. Like actually, like
as people, or
no, just don't care for them as their comedic personality.
Oh,
like I can appreciate some
I
of them.
can totally respect that. Like,
but I don't feel good about it necessarily. But yeah,
no, but they are all 3 of them are acquired tastes, I feel like, and a little outdated in now. They're definitely like our parents' comedians.
That's
you
true.
Know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's the Rod Stewart of the. Who's your favorite of those 3?
Oh, that's so hard because fucking Vacation is one of my favorite movies on the planet. And
well, then
Chevy
there you
Chase.
Go. That's it. What's the deliberation?
But Steve Martin is just like so awesome, though. I mean, The Jerk. Come on.
You know, to be fair, I've never actually
Father of the
seen
Bride.
The Jerk. Maybe that would help.
Yeah. You got to see Father of the Bride too, because that's got Martin Short and Steve Martin in it, and they are brilliant together in that movie.
Of any of the 3, I don't really have a problem with Martin Short, I guess, to be honest. But the other 2, for some reason, I don't like as much as most people do.
Yeah, I don't like Chevy Chase. I like Chevy Chase less, just because I've heard in real life he's a major asshole. Like,
yeah.
And like kind of ruined Community and
major asshole. Yo,
how many assholes I got on this ship? Man, I love that
major asshole.
I did, sir.
I can't believe it.
I said you fire across her nose, not up it. Who is this guy? Asshole. I can see that. What's his name? That is his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole.
The more I think about it,
what a brilliant
single thing in that movie kills me. Like everything.
That is a brilliant bit. No, that is a brilliant bit.
Everything about that movie kills me.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
The bride just texted me and said, "Your happy is too loud. I'm inside tonight," for folks.
Oh,
she doesn't have to wake up early, though. She can deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God.
All right.
There's going to have to be a Spaceballs episode. Like, I know we said Mel Brooks in general, but it should be Spaceballs.
It should be Spaceballs. So I found I got this Reddit list, user generated Reddit list of great concept albums that's going to be so today I listened to 3 very different concept albums.
Today?
Yeah, like during work. Yeah, 3 different.
Oh my.
I mean, I work for you're at work for 7.5 hours.
I know, but I'm literally like making videos and stuff. There's no way I could listen to this. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So tell me what they are.
So I listened to this first one was me find this link. I have the URL. Oh, there it is. So the band is Between the Buried and Me, and the album is called Colors.
Mm.
And so that is, they have this great description of that album as progressive adult metal, I think is what they call it. But basically the whole album just flows like from the beginning to the end, but there's bluegrass and jazz and like synthesizers and orchestras all playing alongside a guy that's just like scream singing, like,
wow.
Oh, it's really cool. So that was pretty good.
How did you find that?
It's on Google Play Music.
But what take me from your impulse to the outcome.
I found this list. I made this list. I pulled the albums off of this Reddit list.
I don't see that among the things you sent me. Like, so you're looking like,
all right. So
what was your Google search?
Go to the Google Play. Go to the Google Play URL. I'm sorry. So under the Palmer's Pleasure on the recording log, do you see that?
Yeah, the Reddit thing.
All right, you see that Reddit thing? So okay, so you went to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just looking for the best concept albums, and then do you see where it says all 123 comments?
Oh my god! Do you hear what you just said? All 103 comments.
No, that's those are literally the words on the screen. All here.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Do you see that where it says all 123 comments?
Yeah.
And then below that it says more or less based on your Pink Floyd tastes. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Right there starts a list. That's one person's list. So Neutral Milk Hotel in the Aeroplane Over the Sea. That's like a band in the album. The Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Yeah.
So I just copied these and pasted them into a text just to get a list of concept albums that people were recommending.
Okay.
And so then if
your album is not one of these, but one that came out of that search?
No, if you scroll down in the comments, one of the people said one of the albums they there's 123 different comments of different concept albums that people are putting in there.
World. This is crazy.
How
do you filter through all this?
Okay, hang on.
I gotta go.
We're gonna share.
This is crazy.
All right, do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the top of the post right here, right?
Learning from the
so
internet.
like this is one person, Matt R24, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the user.
Yeah.
And then everything that's below that is everything that one user posted.
Okay.
Okay. So this is his list of concept albums. So then what I did is I just took this and copied it and pasted it into a Word document as a list, right? And then this next guy, so see how this is indented here?
Yeah.
That's him replying to this guy's list. The further in it goes, they're replying to the post above it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this Illinois, the Sufjan Stevens album, which that is a fantastic concept album, is him replying to this guy's posted list. See how this one, it taps back out like it's not indented. So this is like this guy's now list, Rampan 13, right? Whatever this user. So here's hip hop concept album. So I copied this too. So the second album I listened to was this one by The Roots, Undone, which was fantastic.
Huh.
Super, 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 super good.
How the fuck? But there's so many albums in that list. How did you decide which ones to try out?
We just randomly picked them. Just whatever sounded good. And so, so then if you keep scrolling down, like I'm picking off, here's another guy and here's his list. And then if you look in that list is the colors between the Buried and Me.
Holy fucking shit. So that is the rabbit hole you had to go down to find that thing?
So you have to look, but I copied them from here, and then I just have a list in a text document, and then I just queued up. I just picked 3 from that list, and I put and this is just my own process, so that I could just listen to those albums while I was working.
how did you choose based on the many that you had?
Randomly pick like whatever caught my attention or struck my fancy.
You like the
There's
idea
no
of that,
rhyme or reason. I knew nothing about these albums.
you like the idea
So I
of that
guess I
title and
did.
stuff or something like that?
I don't even know. Not just that my eyes fell on that line of my list, and so that was one that I queued in there.
Oh my God. As someone who makes things, that's mind blowing. And somehow ties into the dead zone as everything does. Wow. That's awesome. But that's very interesting to me as a certain kind of crazy person to see how like normal people find music.
Well, I mean, this is how you get new music, right?
Huh.
Like you got to go out and you just got to try shit, random shit.
Yeah.
So I listened to that metal album, and then I listened to a Roots album, and then I listened to this is the first time I'd ever listened to this album. Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, though, like because that was on somebody had recommended that in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
right.
I would listen
David
to
Bowie.
because of Nine Inch Nails and their tour together in 1995. But
Yeah. Oh, nice.
But yeah, different. Yeah, that's one crazy to another.
Yeah.
Normie.
So those were the 3 albums that I listened to, and they were all fantastic, and I'm excited to.
Wait, what's the 3? Like boil them down.
Colors by that metal album. Where's that at? Colors, Between the Buried and Me. And then
The Roots one?
Undone by the Roots. And then The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars by David Bowie.
Nice.
So I mean, because I'm coming to the end, I realize I finished it. I finished The Dead Zone again. I do have probably another couple months of Stephen King stuff to catch up, and then I'll be done. But this is like another thing for me to do now is like now at work, my thing can be concept albums. Like I can just be
cool.
exploring concept albums.
Oh, go back to you there. Thanks. Sorry.
Yeah, there. No problem.
Not for nothing, but Downward Spiral is a concept album.
Downward Spiral is like you were talking about how The Broken was very dark. Like I think Downward Spiral is like really hard for me to listen to sometimes. And it's not because it's bad. It's because it's like it's really angry.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
Super, 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 super angry. Like
yeah, I was realizing today, one of the reasons I love Nine Inch Nails so much is like it's so unflinchingly honest about like your internal monologue sometimes.
Yep.
And that it rings so true just as a human being. But as someone who eventually started to create his own art, and that art I mean, sorry to use that term and stuff, but ultimately like brings you pain as well. It's like to me, like I made music and the music was a balm, and at a certain point the music became a problem, and the music is the problem. And so like how do you then write about that in music?
Right.
But Trent Reznor has done an amazing job of that as someone from seeing it from that angle as well. Like he's been able to turn those certain struggles of a musician, entrepreneur, or whatever, entertainer, into like universal, everyone could relate to kind of struggles. Man. I'm telling you, Moto and I got started Nine Inch Nails like podcast.
I would listen. There. I would listen to that.
I would
listen to that. So let's do Smokin Stats and then let's get to book club.
Okay.
So Smokin Stats, which I already put the picture in when I was getting set up earlier. I am only 20 days away from a year of non-smoking.
Yes, you are.
Isn't that crazy? It's so absolutely awesome. I have been a non-smoker for 345 days, 10 hours, and 43 minutes. So I'm coming up on the 365. I have not smoked 5,872 cigarettes.
Whoa.
So sick. I've saved $1,700 and I've earned back 23 days onto my life.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Man, a year. No cigarettes. Crazy.
All right, got one more. I got one more beer for this book club discussion.
And I have most of this werewolf to get through.
Ooh.
Which is yeah. Man.
Made my own Teen Wolf noise.
Yeah. You know, the Wolfman is just like never. Poor guy always has to play second fiddle to Dracula.
Fuck that. What are you talking about? No.
I mean, even in the modern trope though, that like Underworld, like the werewolves are like the slaves of the vampires, and in
Speedman and the guy from Love Actually. I love Speedman. I love Felicity. I do. Call me Scott. Oh, Scott. His name is Scott in real life, like Scott Howard and T-Wolf. Let me tell you this, sir. It's come up before. It's not a long thing, but I love the show called Werewolf from 1987. Stars a guy called John J. York and Chuck Connors of Rifleman fame. And it's very much a Incredible Hulk kind of man on the run, like trying to cure himself of this disease, as it were. Created by the same guy, Frank Lupo. But
so it is the Incredible Hulk then.
It really is.
Just with the werewolf.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And it came out in 1987 and I fucking loved it. And it's got the kind of American Werewolf in London style makeup, Frank Baker. And in Shout Factory almost released it in 2009. I have 2 or 3 eBay copies of this because I, like a fucking idiot, I erased my tapes from back in the day.
What?
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, you learn quick in life if you're crazy like me that you don't do that. But this was my hard lesson learned. This was the one on which I learned it. But so Shout Factory in 2009 almost released the show, but they couldn't because of the music rights to certain things, and it still hasn't happened. But I found out this week Shout Factory is releasing something else werewolf related that I fucking loved. The Teen Wolf Saturday morning cartoon.
What?
It's coming out in the next couple months. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I have a VHS.
That's another, what? That is another. So in the 80s, we've talked about that for it to be a true 80s movie, there needs to be a title song written that works the title of the movie into the chorus of the song. Right.
Yeah.
I think moving into the late 80s and into the early 90s, there was a slew of Saturday morning cartoons, because the 90s were really the death of Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
That was the last days of that. And so there was this, I feel like there was this pressure to try to save that institution of Saturday morning cartoons. And so they pushed a lot of properties into children's cartoons that maybe shouldn't have been.
Oh.
Teen Wolf is a great example of that. Like, I don't know if that was for the target market of Saturday morning cartoon watchers. I don't know if that was they probably didn't see Teen Wolf. You know what I mean? Like,
I did, and
I don't know. I did too. You know what? That's fair. I did too, because these are also the days of PG instead of PG-13. And
oh yeah.
But like Ace Ventura got turned into a cartoon.
Really?
That was not. Yeah, that wasn't kids appropriate. I mean, the movie that the property that it's based on isn't kids appropriate. I mean,
oh, I see. Yeah.
You know, they did find. I mean, the cartoons, of course, are kids appropriate, but the just what they're basing it off of is not. Anyways, that's a sidebar.
Oh yeah, but for sure the werewolf is never subpar to Dracula.
Not in our eyes. I'm just saying, like in popular culture and popular media,
No,
that is typically how it is portrayed if they are both in the same story.
I guess
Even
like in Monster Squad, like Dracula rules everything.
Yeah,
That's
see
not how I see it. All right.
it doesn't have to be how you see it. It's just how that is. It's just like
I always thought I thought for years after when I would think about it retrospectively, I always thought that Dracula and Monster Squad was Viggo Mortensen. He's not, but it could be.
He's not, but he does look like him. You're right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Viggo Mortensen, because you were talking about,
the prophecy,
so
holy
segues.
fucking shit. Yeah.
Because we were talking about the prophecy earlier.
Yeah,
Chris
we
fucking
were.
Walken.
That is
first
one of
off,
the best Walken movies. Like
that was my
Walken.
introduction to Christopher Walken. That was the first movie I can remember ever seeing him in.
Even before Pulp Fiction?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep. I saw that before Pulp Fiction. And that movie influenced me. Like that movie influenced me not just like in my love of movies, but like I pulled some bits of philosophy from that.
Thoughtful film about a guy that that is a very thoughtful philosophical film under the guise of a science fiction movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and like and oh man, and there were just so many cool things like Danzig was in that, and
Danzig the musician.
I like that. There was a rumor that he was one of the angels,
that first one. No,
that's what
really?
That's what the rumor is,
God
but I don't know if it is.
Maybe
check IMDb while I'm talking about I'm talking.
Oh, I looked at IMDb this earlier today when we were texting, and Twinkie put the GIF from Walken doing the. Oh God!
Oh no, that was me. Because.
You
Twinkie
both did that separately. Did you know that? You both did that.
What? No,
yeah, you did it in a private one, and Twinkie did it in the group one. But you both found this great.
I did it in the group one too. You did. I sent it to Twinkie.
We should put it in when the episode comes out.
It's already in the media. I already put it in there.
Oh, great. Okay.
Because Twinkie says, so he's like, done and done. We'll be finished with the book and watch the movie by then because Chris Walken. And so that I replied to him with that gif of because he's like saying thank you. He's like kissing and he's like, because of course, because of me. But like, so that's the first movie that I like remember seeing, like having an impact on me, that I remember Christopher Walken and just being like I'm going to say it. So I'm going to do what you did last time.
Yes.
With Phenomenon. With Phenomenon. But I'm going to do it. And you're going to do the response. But it's going to be a prophecy line because this is another one that we shared. That we shared. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think of the exact one. So that looks like it's a problem for the war front.
Oh shit. Shut up.
Yes. I'm going to pass out again.
That's not an established thing. We've never done that before. Oh my God.
We have done that before because like that's how I knew I was like now we were like hetero soulmates because you were like because that delivery is like because up to that point he's just kind of this like schmoozy guy, like
yeah. Well,
like that's how he's
for the listeners. The very short synopsis of the prophecy, 1995, is the angel Gabriel comes to Earth to collect a soul, which will end the stalemate war in heaven, and only a former priest with a little girl can stop him. And Gabriel is played by Christopher Walken in this very
Walken. So in the scene that we're sharing this line about is Chris Walken keeps tapping humans like on the who have killed themselves, like they're desperate souls, and he brings them back. He doesn't let them die, and
he's letting me die.
Yeah,
I'm letting him die slower.
yeah, and is his minion, and so they're at the grave and they dig up to get
Adam Goldberg in a brilliant turn.
No
one can play that role better than that guy.
No. That song when they introduce his character, and the honey and the bear and the bear and the tree and the tree, so when they get to the body to get the soul, it's not there, and it's the first time that you actually see a crack in the armor of Walken's character in the movie at this point, and it's that delivery. That's what he does. So Adam Goldberg delivers this really snarky line, so that looks like it's a problem for the war front because he's just being a smart ass.
Yeah, he's digging up the body, right?
Yeah, well, he dug up the body, and as soon as the casket is enough that they can open it, Walken pushes him out of the way, he's done with him. And he's gonna jump in and he's gonna take that soul. He's gonna take it, and in his mind, he's 30 seconds from going and winning the war. That's.
Between,
so that's
how do you explain that war? It's the initial thing.
It's the same war that happened that created hell. Is there are angels that are jealous of God's what they perceive as God's favor to mankind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When they're jealous. They're jealous angels.
He used to love us above all else, and now he loves the humans and fucking monkeys.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's what's funny is I think they did it. They wanted to do what would happen if the war in heaven happened during modern times, right?
Yeah, so it continues on, right?
The only way they could do that is to say that there was a second war in heaven. They can't say Lucifer and God finally had their fight in 1992. Yeah. So
but they find the most evil soul and they think if they find the most evil soul in man, if they take that soul as an angel, that they can then use that to win the war.
Basically, basically what it is he's a strategist. He was a phenomenal strategist in war, in man's wars, whatever war he fought in. But he was also cursed for causing really atrocious war crimes. He was guilty of really bad war crimes. He has a box of faces.
Oh yeah, that soul that they're trying to dig up. Yeah,
yeah. The man.
As it turns out, the soul is not in that man anymore, which is the problem.
No, because it got. Yeah, that's another
so
problem.
Good. We should get back. We should get into that movie someday. And what's fun too is it's. I was looking up the Archangel Gabriel, and that's 1996. That movie Prophecy, which is a huge Jacko movie. That was one of Jacko's Palmer Spicks.
Yeah,
and we almost made a movie. When we quit making The Crow in mid 95 because of problems, we're going to recalibrate and make this other movie based on Prophecy, basically. But anyway.
Well, when we were talking earlier today about how that movie is one of the best Walken movies.
Oh, yeah.
I got to thinking, though, that also is the first movie that I can remember seeing Viggo Mortensen in.
Holy fuck.
And
one of my top 10 top 10 movies moments ever. When in the end, Viggo Mortensen playing Lucifer. You know what I'm talking about.
And he's covered in he's covered in all the ichor from eating Gabriel's heart, and
he's like, please, I love you more.
Oh my God, yeah, and he's like, I want.
It's like, I want to. I just knocked everything over.
I want to.
It's the most fucked up thing I've ever seen.
He's covered in all this ichor, and his fingers are doing this weird thing, and he's just trying to draw them in. He's like, I love you. I want to eat you. I want to fuck you. I want to he's just saying he's every verb. I want to every verb to you. That's what he says.
And he says, I love you more than Jesus. It's so fucked up.
Yeah. And he is so creepy that, so when they announced the casting for the Lord of the Rings movies, and he is Aragorn or whatever. I'm not a
I sleep through those movies. Sorry.
I know, me too. I can't do it. I don't I was like, holy shit, they put Satan in that role. Like that, and was he also in was he in Almost Famous? Was that him in Almost Famous?
No, not that I know of.
No, I'm thinking of somebody else.
Oh,
Maybe there was something else, but it just like that movie, that performance is fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of brief too. Like and to be
it's only one
striking.
scene. Yeah.
Is it really? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's one scene.
So I love that movie so much. We should talk about it sometime more. Just the other side note about it, the guy that wrote and directed that movie, I think it's the only movie he directed. He is the creator of Highlander, which I also really love.
That's world builder right there, man. Like
yes, yeah. And it's all this thing about like immortals. He knows how to rock that. And he
you write what you know. That's
you think he's an immortal, Gregory Wyden?
maybe.
But yeah, anyway, the first prophecy is fantastic. Walken, that's a tremendous kind of that's really Walken using his persona in a way that might be one of the first times actually where he's really using that kind of Walken persona as a kind of kitschy deal, and he's using it as like at the angel Gabriel. Then like a year before or after Travolta does so, and Michael, like that was a thing at the time. But prophecy is rather serious, whereas Michael.
I was gonna say, would you say that prophecy was Christopher Walken's Pulp Fiction?
I think it's definitely like people say like postmodern references things before it.
Yeah.
I think Pulp Fiction in 1994, whereas The Prophecy is 96. I think that really catapulted Walken into this kind of sphere of caricature, because like if you think about it, Christopher Walken in something like The Deer Hunter, he's a very striking presence.
I consider all those though legitimate though. He's not. I feel like Christopher Walken in movies now from The Prophecy forward, because he's even in Pulp Fiction, like,
oh yeah,
and I still think though he's like Deer Hunter though, Christopher Walken in that scene in Pulp Fiction. I feel like there is a turning point with The Prophecy where he
becomes self-referential, I think, at that point.
Yeah, he's in on the joke.
Yep.
I feel like that's what it is like he's in on the Christopher Walken joke, because I mean, it's after The Prophecy, you get the Fat Boy Slim video comes not that far after, or like right around there, right, and like that also made him an icon. And then he did the James Lipton interview like in the late 90s too, which was very iconic. Like that was a huge one. I mean, because that's the one where because James Lipton kind of didn't pull any punches about like, why in the hell do you like he spins it from why, like, how do you make so many movies? But I think he was really going for like why do you keep making crap movies? Like, why will you do so many crappy movies?
I think he literally says like, I always say yes.
Yeah, he's like, if I have time, he's like, this was his answer. If this is my job, this is what I do for a living. So if I have time in my calendar to work, my work ethic says I should work.
Yeah.
And so like that, and that's how you get him in. I mean, yeah, if he has time, he'll do it.
I do feel like that was a real turning point, as you said, the movie The Prophecy. So we're about to just cap off the Dead Zone novel, and then next time we speak, we'll talk about the Dead Zone movie in which he stars. But I think, up until The Prophecy, he was just kind of he's an eccentric actor. He still is.
Yeah.
But he was more of it wasn't kind of like a Chris Walken type, Right. I think he got such attention in Pulp Fiction for that static close up on him as he talked about Swatch. Yeah. And the pause, like you just get so much, time to kind of like digest that personality. And that movie was so, transformative that I think at that point forward he was less. I think that's when like his mannerisms and stuff became kind of funny. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we want to use this to like, or I mean, we're about to dig into the Christopher Walken vehicle film, ultimately originated in the 1979 novel by Stephen King, The Dead Zone. Oh, the fucking end. The Dead Zone novel. Stephen King wrote in the late 70s, but realized in 2017 by James Franco and audible.com, audibletrial.com/LWSD. Free 30-day trial. An audiobook. I recommend you The Dead Zone. About me, Christopher Walken, read by James Franco. And now also sponsored by Book Rags.
White noise. Chris Walken, White Noise.
That's my college band.
Oh,
that's my first record.
Hey, Palmer here. I just wanted to let you know that Dave and I are getting ready to start the book club reading of Stephen King's The Dead Zone, and we want you to join us. This is an audience participation opportunity, and the more interaction we get, the better the book club is going to be, honestly. How, you ask, can you participate with a podcast that's pre-recorded? All I can say right now is don't worry your pretty little head about that. We'll get that all figured out. Here's all you really need to worry about for the time being. First, keep listening to Long Walk, Short Drink, which should be easy because we're sure you love it. I mean, this is the greatest podcast ever recorded, so it's a no-brainer. That is going to be the first place that you're going to hear any updates on the book club. Second, you should be following us on Twitter, another no-brainer. Who doesn't want Long Walk, Short Drink on their Twitter feed? You can find us there at LWSD Pod. We'll be sure to send out any important updates there as well. Third, you do need to procure a copy of The Dead Zone by Stephen King through any means necessary. Amazon, eBay, the library, your CD Underground Stephen King book dealer, because everybody has one of those. It doesn't matter if it's on a Kindle, a physical copy, or an audiobook, which, by the way, the audiobook's about to get re-released on audibles.com, and it's going to be read by James Franco. I'm sure that's the way I'm going to listen to it. I think that's how Dave's probably going to go through it as well. So you might want to check that out. Fourth, don't start reading it until we give out the first assignment. We'll do that when episode 22 launches on May 16th. The first discussion will be during episode 23, which will air on May 23rd, 2017. Remember, episode 23 on May 23rd is when it starts. We are planning on covering the book over 4 episodes, and then a 5th episode where we'll talk about the movie and the Revival television series. Until then, keep rocking, and don't take any shit from the machine.
This machine just called me an asshole.
Thanks for listening.
Okay. What is it, chapter 21?
Yeah, chapter 20. So, all right. You want to talk about where we left off?
Yes.
We left off at a very pivotal point in the book. So where did we leave poor Johnny when we left?
Poor Johnny had descended into a kind of like, I don't know what you call it. He's like a collector of handshakes from politicians.
Yes.
And then he can kind of see their future. So
I think that's exactly what he calls it. Like that's what he does.
Yeah.
That's his
He's
shtick.
a collector. Like,
Yep.
The 2004 With Teeth 9 Inch Nails album.
Which the tour of With Teeth is when they started the ARG for year 0.
Fuck yeah. Oh my God. If you're interested in this 9 Inch Nails business, look up it's called Beside You in Time. It's the concert film for that.
Yeah.
Holy shit. A dude in his like late 30s. That is so badass.
Really?
So badass. The most badass. Oh my God. That fucking concert film is devastatingly awesome and visceral. So,
is that the one that like the sound is so good you can hear like the footsteps like on the stage and stuff? Like
probably, but also I think what you're thinking of is the and all that could have been the Fragile Tour DVD.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
But oh my God, is Beside You in Time so badass. Like, I can't think of how old he is there, but I think it's in his 40s. And that's when Trent Reznor went from being like a skinny guy, like a really scrawny guy,
buff.
to like being fucking Henry Rollins ripped and coming out like a
like
shaved
300.
head.
Yeah.
Holy shit, is that so cool? Okay, sorry. I'll get easily derailed in that. What were we talking about? Oh, but
he's
Johnny,
collecting handshakes.
Yeah, he's going to political rallies. He shakes Jimmy Carter's hand. He's like, "You're gonna be president." But then he kind of gets obsessed with Greg Stilson, this slimy populist asshole that is running for the House of Representatives.
Well, he sees him, and this guy he's a D-bag, basically. Like he's
a real douche.
We know Greg Stilson. I mean, we've known him since the dog scene at the beginning of the book. They don't know all that shit. All they know is this character that's on TV. So this rich guy that Johnny's working for, because he couldn't get his teaching job.
Because of the controversy of his abilities.
Yep. So he's tutoring this rich guy's son, and this rich guy thinks that he's a joke. This guy is hilarious. Like, and he even says, like, what's the harm? Like, even if he does end up getting elected, like, he'll spend 2 years on Uncle Sam's dime, and then he'll get voted out and everything will be fine.
Yeah, you can't fuck people over for too long is what he says.
Right. And so Johnny decides that, like, and he even tries a few times on his way to this rally that he knows is happening, that Stilson is going to be at. He tries to not go there. Like, he has total plans not to go to it, and then ends up there anyways. And we end with him shaking hands with Stilson. What's he see?
I mean, he kind of sees not the end of humanity exactly, but it's the most strong flash that he has. And he sees essentially, mass chaos and kind of what hints
nuclear Armageddon.
Yeah, that they don't,
because we're gonna get into that conversation later.
Yeah,
but I think it's okay to say now, like that, because it doesn't get into those details at the end of chapter 20.
No, but does it have that thing where it's obscured by the blue and the yellow kind of? It's the tiger, because there's the title of the laughing tiger,
and there's pieces that keep going behind the blue, which you end up finding out is the snowsuit.
Oh my God! Yeah, that blue, like that really, that was very masterful. Like because I kept trying to piece that together, the blue and the yellow and that was pretty cool.
So is Stilson wearing the snowsuit?
Oh no, no, we'll get there. That's the very end, but
that's
no, I know exactly. That's one thing I did catch.
Okay, good, because that's lost on me. So I'm glad that
I have this one note. I don't have a ton of notes, but I do have this one note from early on in chapter 21 where Go, the gardener, the Vietnamese gardener, is talking to Johnny, and he's talking about Stilson, and because Go was there at the rally, and he saw, because he was there with the other people who were getting to be naturalized citizens, or they're becoming citizens of the U.S. Go is from Vietnam, and he's becoming a U.S. citizen, so. With his class, he's there watching political people speak, and he was talking to Johnny, and he said Stilson is the bad tiger with a taste for human meat, and a trap should be set for him, and if he lives, he thinks he should be beaten to death. That's what goes as, quote, politically speaking.
Right. He should be politically killed. And he even killed. He comes back to that. Like, Johnny comes back to Go before he leaves, and he says it again, and he corrects him, and he says, no, politically killed, which I think that is
shit. I just got that. Just got that.
Because you're thinking of the very end, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's a very awesome distinction that gets made twice between these interactions between Johnny and Go, where Johnny's ultimate is, we need to kill him. And Go says, no, we just need to ruin his political career. That's essentially the two sides.
He doesn't say it so specifically because he can't speak English.
Well,
so
that's what like killed politically though. Like he should be politically killed.
I get that now, but I didn't get that then. I have to say.
Yeah. So, which I thought was always ironic because there is, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but there is a sizable portion where Johnny is devoting to debating what his other alternatives are. And that is never, the closest he comes to that is working from the inside, like trying to gain access to Stilson's political insiders so that he can try to change it from the inside. Because that was his rich employer's idea when he proposes, like, would you go, if you could go back in time, would you kill Hitler? He said no, like his boss told him I would try to join the Nazi party and try to change it from the inside. And so that is one of his options to try to take care of Stilson after this vision.
We should repose the questions, right? On your board.
Oh yeah, let's review those real quick. So the explicit was why so chapters 24 through the epilogue essentially are told through a mixed media, almost like the end of Carrie, where it's like news clippings and interviews, which is very, just like in Carrie, it is a very stark contrast to the rest of the book, which is told as a narrative style. So why do you think that this is a trope that essentially, why do you think King keeps coming back to this style? Like, why do you think he would do that? The implicit is Johnny's power a result of bad luck and evolution, meaning is it some evolutionary fluke that his injuries have brought to the surface? Or is it the hand of a higher power / fate that's imposing its will on Johnny? Meaning, like, and this comes to like the Vera side of it. Is there a purpose to Johnny's abilities and a reason why he's been given these abilities? Because Vera believed that he was. And then the last one is, if you could go back and kill Hitler, would you?
So did Chuck's dad say that?
I like all three of the people that he poses that question to ultimately come to they would kill Hitler. Even Chuck's dad.
I don't know why I'm blanking on that. Like,
so,
he actually asked people that?
Yeah. So when his dad and that widow get married, her 80-plus-year-old dad gives her away.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he's a World War II veteran.
Yes.
And or is he or a World War I veteran, and their son, her brother, died in World War II.
I just want to say,
isn't that right?
We got a text during the Joshua Tree Dave Diggs segment from Moto, and he just says, "Loving this episode, Bigfoot's alien, Tom Petty, Polish Fine Line."
Thank you. I forgot to come back to that.
God bless America on Flag Day.
Yep.
Which he mentions because of Shamrock and his service, honor, courage, and commitment.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Yes, sir. Sorry. So, a little shout out there, but
yeah, happy birthday, Shamrock.
Yeah. You'll hear this months
later.
We're thinking of you today.
Yeah. So, I think that's the way it went, though. He was a World War I veteran, and their son was didn't she have a brother, right, or something like that?
I don't remember the specifics, but I remember very much that encounter with,
because he pulls out his pocket knife, because he's talking about like how awful and everything, and at the end of it, he's like, you asked me if I would kill Hitler, and then he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out like a pearl handled pocket knife that he's carried since he was like 14 years old, and like delicately pulls out the blade because he's got like old hands, and it's like razor sharp, and he like draws it, like, doesn't he draw it across his own throat, like like mimes like across his own throat or something, like that's what I would do. I would just slit his throat like in a second.
Like that.
That's the implication he makes is like I would in a second I would use this knife. Let me see.
Yeah, I know. I miss Shamrock instantly too because he'd have knives. Also, you have knives. How many knives do you have by you? Just, oh, your copy is so pristine and big. I think you have a big one, right? Like,
yeah, that's what she said.
I have a book club one. I think it's smaller. God damn it. Ugh.
So, okay. So, the setting for this is Herb is getting married to the widow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is her father. And so Johnny, it's about a page. So just bear with me here. So it says, he says, I'm working on an essay. Oh no, I'm going to start there.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. Well, I'm trying, Johnny said. Already he was beginning to regret his glibness. Yes, I'm a writer. I write in my notebooks after the dark of night has fallen. He's talking about his notebooks he's written on Stilson. Anyway, the essay is going to be about Hitler. Hitler? What about Hitler? Well, just suppose you could hop in a time machine and go back to the year 1932 in Germany. And suppose you came across Hitler. Would you kill him or let him live? The old man's blank black glasses tilted slowly up to Johnny's face, and now Johnny didn't feel drunk or glib or clever at all. Everything seemed to depend on what this old man had to say. Is it a joke, boy? Nope, no joke. One of Hector Markstone's hands left the head of his cane and went to the pocket of his suit pants and fumbled there for what seemed an eternity. At last it came out again. It was holding a bone-handled pocket knife that had been rubbed so smooth and mellow as old ivory over the course of years. The other hand came into play, holding the knife set one blade out with an incredible delicacy of arthritis. It glimmered with bland wickedness under the light of the Congregational Parish Hall. A knife that had traveled to France in 1917 with a boy who had been part of a boy army, ready and willing to stop the dirty Hun from bayoneting babies and raping nuns, ready to show the Frenchies a thing or two in the bargain. And the boys had been machine gunned. The boys had gotten dysentery, the killer flu. The boys had inhaled mustard gas and phosphine gas. The boys had come out of Baloo Wood looking like haunted scarecrows who had seen the face of Lord Satan himself, and it had all turned out for nothing. It had turned out that it had all been done over again. Somewhere, music was playing. People were laughing. People were dancing. A flash bar popped warm light. Somewhere, far away, Johnny stared naked at the blade, transfixed, hypnotized by the play of the light over its honed edge. See this? Markstone asked softly. Yes, Johnny breathed. I'd seat this in his black, lying murderer's heart, Markstone said. I'd put her in as far as she'd go. And then I'd twist her. He twisted the knife slowly in his hand, first clock, then counterclockwise. He smiled slowly, baby smooth gums, one leaning yellow tooth. But first he said, I'd coat the blade with rat poison. Like, fuck, that's so fucking harsh. Like, talk about intense, right? Like,
yes.
So, ultimately, so it's the old man. He talks to Chad's dad, Mr. Chatsworth. Chad Chatsworth, first off. Let's just,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, Stephen King names his characters like Marvel characters. Chad Chatsworth here.
Chad Chatsworth is for sure an asshole.
Yeah.
You have to be with that name.
Yeah. And so he asks Chad's dad, Mr. Chatsworth, and then he asks Chad. And even Mr. Chatsworth ultimately, like, he does say he would try to change the Nazi party from inside, but then he does ultimately say, like, but in the end, I would probably have to try to kill him. Like, I would, and Chad, I think, gives it the most thought, but he also gives the most poignant answer. and this is the one that sticks with Johnny that he ultimately ends up acting on, is I don't think I could stand the idea of all those people haunting me that he would ultimately kill. So, so we know that Johnny sees this vision that Stillson ultimately, somewhere in the future, somewhere far in the future, is going to become elected president and will ultimately make a bad situation worse, which will cause World War III / nuclear Armageddon, essentially.
Yeah.
And so he knows that Stillson is the direct cause of that, based on that one touch. And so that really the end of chapter 20 is I know it's already into the Laughing Tiger, like the third act of the book, but it really is the turning point of where it goes to the third act. So because now, in my opinion anyways, this is where we finally find in my opinion, this is what creates There Was a Purpose. And I know they kind of touch on that in the end in those last pieces of the book too, but I think this does show that there's a purpose, that he is given this gift for a reason, to try to prevent this, you know? So that's where we're left. And then we start chapter 21 is the he gets beat up. So Johnny gets, like, Sonny and his boys like come and beat up Johnny. And for him getting beat up, he's the one in the interrogation room with the local police officer and this FBI agent who, spoiler alert, is found dead in the future.
What future? This book?
Yeah, when Johnny is on the road, like in one of you know how King, to pass the time in this book, just does a quick update of things that happen. You know, like they do this and they do this. In somewhere in there, one of those updates is this FBI agent is found dead in like Kansas City mysteriously.
Oh,
and it's this guy.
I missed that.
And wow. It's because he was getting too close to Stillson.
Yeah.
And I maybe even Johnny found that in his research. He might have. Because that's in that mixed media section too, is all of Johnny's research on that's before this, before the old man at the wedding, is where you get that really good, you finally get some good exposition on Stillson.
Oh yeah, like his backstory we get.
Yeah. That whole
because
Rainmaker
research. Yeah. Rainmaker. Fuck. Okay.
That Rainmaker shit is so, I mean, you got to give it to King, man. He writes good fucking villains. Like his villains are just stellar, right? I mean, this guy, first off, it says something about the time period that this book came out, to know that you could be a professional rainmaker, right?
It's not like a euphemism. It's not like a euphemism. Sorry.
No. No.
I like my association with that is the John Grisham novel, really the Coppola film of a lawyer like trying to get business, like make business, but in this discussion, like it's literally like people making the Cattlemen's Association where he lives, there's a drought, and they bring in a collection of professional rainmakers to apply for this position. And they hire Stillson because Stillson says, I'll do it for free up front, and then you can pay me whatever you think is fair. Right? And so for the next 2 days, they drove him around 3 counties, praying in the back of a pickup truck into a loudspeaker on his hands and knees, right? And on the 4th day, it rained. Like, rain buckets, like, flooded and killed people, and like everything saved. And so at the next meeting of the Cattlemen's Association, they bring up a collection, and what do they raise? Like
$17 or something. Like some like very, very tiny fee. And Stilson, like being Stilson, takes that money and takes out an ad, a full page ad, essentially saying that he got cheated by the Cattlemen's Association and how he saved all these farms and they don't want to cough up the money. So he ends up people end up sending him money who see the ad because their farms got saved too because of the rain. And then they stopped doing business with the Cattlemen's Association, so they still were going to lose the money. They ended up coughing up a ton of money and ran him out of town. And that's really the thing that Johnny's research undercovers, is that he was constantly getting run out of towns, right? And then that's when he got that really good job of a traveling salesman, so he didn't really have a town to get run out of before he got wise and then settled in that one town to do those shady, like, real estate schemes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I hadn't quite put that together.
Yeah, but so all right, so we finally get some exposition on Stilson. Let's see what else happens. They talk about how he should be assassinated politically, him and Go. He studies Stilson. So now it leads to, this is like the last major turning point. So Johnny's still up in the air on what he's going to do, and they're at Chad has completely excelled, right? Johnny has done a fantastic job. And they're at his graduation party, and Johnny shakes hands with Chad and sees another flash, right?
Oh yeah. No, I'm just finding a note that I had that oddly enough relates to what we were talking about with U2 earlier, with the William Blake songs of innocence and experience.
Yeah.
There's a quote, remember, in the thing where they're talking about, it's where the tiger title comes from. This poem in those collections from William Blake, the tiger. And he says, so it's a pretty short poem, so I'll just read it and we'll infer it. The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? And what distant deep or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? Or what wings dare he aspire? What hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And then thy heart began to beat. And what dread hand, what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what the grasp, dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears, and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who the Lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? So that's very directly referenced in not only the title of this part of the book, but also in some of the text. Stilson is that tiger.
Yeah. The laughing tiger.
Yeah.
And the one that needs killed politically.
Yeah.
Politically killed.
Fuck yeah. Politically killed. It's so nice to have, yeah, that's a really cool thing with the Go character. You're able to get this kind of not un-American, because he's aspiring to be an American, but you're able to get an objectiveness from someone who's not raised in this country to kind of contrast. It's like, there's a bunch of men like this in my country, like despots, essentially, and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, and so he's able to like recognize him for what he is. And he's like, he's not a fucking clown. He's a fucking tiger.
This is something that came directly from the Book Rags notes that I had not picked up on at all with the character of Go. One of the reasons that it's considered that Go is from Vietnam is because this is right after the Vietnam War.
Mm.
And it's used to validate this whole story of the Laughing Tiger is used to validate because Go has seen such terrible things. Since he can see this in Stilson, it helps validate the vision to Johnny. Like that's one of the, like, it's a plot device that because like it validates Go's position to Johnny because he realizes that Go has seen these terrible things. So if he can see that in Stilson, then he definitely needs to act. Like it just all helps solidify and validate to Johnny that needs to happen. I think I love Go's character. I love.
I think
it's so
picture very, very specifically the character. Like my visualization for that guy is the little
Asian American police
from the Ocean's movies. I picture that little guy.
I could see that. Yeah, that's good. That's fair.
I mean, that's probably not necessarily fair to Asian people, but that's the kind of.
I said it would only be fair if he is Vietnam. That's what we would need to make sure of. But.
I did not watch my buddies die face down in the muck to watch this hump. Anyway, so, hump.
Excuse me, dear. I'm drinking my coffee.
I'll get you a tow by 3 p.m. No problem.
With polish.
Oh yeah.
So they're at Chad's graduation party. That's where we're at. So they're at Chad's graduation party.
Oh, you mean, are you talking about Chuck? Am I saying the wrong
Chuck.
name?
Oh no, I'm saying the wrong name.
It's kind of interchangeable.
Chadsworth,
like,
Chuck Chadsworth, yeah. Right? Chatsworth. So he shakes hands with Chuck, and he sees this terrible vision, and he says, "You can't go to this thing." Like, and
the graduation party essentially like
is going to burst into flames, and this all comes back to. Do you remember that scene with the I said that
the lightning rod salesman
is not is not Stilson.
Yeah.
What that scene is this bar, this Kathy's bar.
Yes.
And he's telling him how he needs lightning rods. And when they even go to so what happens is Johnny sees the restaurant burst into flames and everybody die inside, essentially.
Yeah.
So they go to this restaurant. They find out that the entire senior class, it's a tradition in the town, goes to this restaurant. They rent out the restaurant. It's the 70s, so you only have to be 18 to drink. They all booze. They all eat. This guy, it's basically this in Christmas. I forget what the other time of the year is, but those 2 times a year is when the guy makes all of his money, basically. And most of it comes from this graduation party. So they go to try to talk him out of having the party, which doesn't go well. And you realize, oh, this is the restaurant that guy tried to sell lightning rods to. And then you see Johnny's vision is he sees the restaurant getting struck by lightning. So you realize like that was foreshadowing all the way back in the first like third of the book. Isn't that crazy? That one scene.
Yeah. That's how I mistook it because I thought it was more important or more sort of central to the people we were hearing about than I thought it was.
Yeah. And so, no, and that's totally legitimate. No, that's, that's exactly what happened. No. Well, we're going on 3 hours, 40 minutes. So
that's all right. We're closing on the end of the book. This book kind of winds up in a,
it does wind up pretty quickly.
Yeah. And then
after this, I think it all goes
afterward in a way.
It's like, as soon as this thing happens with Kathy's, then it's just all the end. It's like wrap up.
Yeah.
Because then it's like told in that like almost unsolved mystery style where it's just like ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. And then this happened, and then this happened, and then there's this interview, and then
Jackson was on Unsolved Mysteries, right?
Yeah, as the Mothman.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
And he made the bat face. That was his Mothman.
There's a picture somewhere I have of it. I'll have to tweet it probably.
Of him as the Mothman?
Yeah.
Oh, I've looked for that special. Like I've gone on YouTube looking for that special, trying to find it
somewhere. I would promise to tweet it, but I don't know that I could find it quickly. But I can tweet the picture of him in the Mothman outfit.
So, the owner of Kathy's is not having it. They don't shut it down. Because Johnny threw such a tantrum at the party, though, they are able to get a good portion of the seniors to stay at the Chatsworth house.
Well, and just for folks that are listening but haven't read or whatever, essentially, Johnny has been tutoring Chuck, and now Chuck is graduating high school. He shakes his hand like congratulations, but now upon the touch, he sees Chuck and all kinds of people from his high school class dying in this fire of where they would otherwise be.
Right.
And he's like, don't go there. Ow.
And he freaks out the people at the party. Yeah. Chuck's dad, just does it to humor him.
Yeah. He's not really happy.
And he does put his foot down on a couple things. Like Chuck's like, well, we could lie and tell a story.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's like, don't ask me to do don't ask me to do that. Like, I'm not going to go that far. Like, we'll talk to him. If you want, we can have anybody over here, but we're not going to, I'm not going to lie over this nonsense.
Right. Because people kind of know about Johnny. Like, Chuck's dad knew about Johnny, but he hired him to be a tutor. He didn't hire him to be a psychic.
Oh yeah, and that's the case that he makes. But he also doesn't he also do the thing where he's like, I believe you might have an ability. I just don't believe in those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah.
And so and that's how he's able to justify it to himself, which he ends up regretting in his letters to Johnny later. Johnny
knows.
Like he repeats that entire dialogue with Chuck and thinks about how he could have saved all those kids. He could have written a check. He says that. He's like, I could have written a check and paid that guy off and just bought him off.
Right, yeah.
And saved all those kids' lives.
The guy at Kathy's is like, this is my biggest business night of the year.
Right.
I can't just cancel this because you think there might be something wrong.
Because it gets struck by lightning, and who can predict where lightning's going to strike?
Oh,
like that's
Johnny
the
Smith,
thing. Like,
yeah.
We know that. Johnny Smith knows that. But nobody else does. So
and when that happens, that one of my favorite little inside things. So, Chuck's dad invites people over to their house to try to divert people from going to Kathy's and potentially being killed. And so I don't know, maybe half of the students go over to the Chuck's parents' house. I can't think of their names, but Chatsworth's, and they're spared because lightning does strike that place. They don't have their lightning rods up, even though the salesman was there years ago that we heard in the book, and people die, like students die, and someone is yelling at Johnny. He's like, you set that on fire with your mind, just like in that book, Carrie.
Yes. Which tells you, this is that from a Dark Tower standpoint, because there's a couple things. It's like a double, because earlier, or is it later in the book, they reference something that would put it in the same. Sheriff Bannerman puts it in the same universe as all the other Stephen King books. But then at the same time, they reference Carrie. And this comes
as a popular novel. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah. So this comes back to the Dark Tower spoiler that you got where King writes himself into the Dark Tower books. And I'm not going to go any further than that, but it just shows you how he kind of skirts through that even as early as this. Isn't that crazy?
Oh yeah. But I like, to some extent, I like it just in a self-referential thing. Like we're talking about Walken earlier. But that's the thing in a lot of these horror movies. Like a lot of horror movies, etc., exist in this world where other horror movies don't exist.
Yeah.
So I think back in the late 70s, especially, like pre-Scream, all that stuff. The idea that, and this was new to me, I did not know this was coming, that Stephen King would acknowledge his own impact on the popular consciousness. I thought it was kind of cool. Like, I don't think it's like, we talked about in a last episode within our own canon of like cabin kids and stuff.
Yeah.
One friend who was just like, how egomaniacal,
Yeah.
which Bauman couldn't even pronounce, but literally Bauman couldn't pronounce that word when he was trying to read this guy's note. He's like, how egomaniac, and I'm like, oh, it's egomaniacal, but but it's interesting because that's the thing. Like, even in something like The Walking Dead, like, you exist in this world where zombies are not like a
never
thing
exist.
You know about.
Yeah,
but that's kind of dumb, right? So I think it's not some kind of ego
it makes
trip.
it makes
sense.
The problem is it makes it hard for us to escape into that world, because like I that is something that I feel in The Walking Dead, where I'm just like, why in the fuck do they keep calling them walkers? That's so stupid. That sounds stupid. They're fucking zombies. Like, just call them zombies. That's what they are.
Yeah.
And
that show does a nice job of like showing that people don't know. Like, people have different names for them, etc. Roamers, like that.
Right.
That's cool.
But
like,
it makes it harder for us because it is inundated in our popular culture.
Yeah.
It makes it harder for us to escape into that world where that doesn't exist, because to us that world obviously is not real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this helps us escape and make this more real when he does that, because it puts it into a piece of realism. So it's just like,
he's like, because he wrote Carrie. In his world, Carrie exists. So the idea that this person would reference Carrie or the book Carrie, like,
you have to remember too, though, he's doing weird things as an author. Even this early in his career, like, there's weird things regarding his popularity that's happening. Carrie was a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, of course, like, he's in a time period of phenomenon. Star Wars is coming out too, because in that same conversation of pop culture where he references Carrie, he also references Star Wars, because he says, I told Mom I wanted that R2D2 for Christmas, but and so, and you have to think, like, this came out in 1979, like Star Wars was a thing, like, was a pop culture phenomenon at that point in time, like, and so, and it helps validate it. It makes it real if we know that the same pop culture things are occurring there. Like, oh, this is happening in our world. I can escape into it now.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that was an unexpected cool touch. I like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So this thing at Kathy's happens, and then this is like, he bolts, like Johnny bolts at this point in time. And we think all the way up until the end, like basically like the prefix of the book, the prefix, the
prologue,
whatever the prologue, the ending part, the like notes from the Dead Zone part.
The Dead Zone. Ow.
That's how long we've been recording it. Dead Zone.
That's how I think. I need to find, like, it's founded, like, my interpretation of Walken as the post Walken, like, self-referential. Like, he's like, oh. It's not out of nowhere.
How many beers have you had, sir? Have you had 9 beers and I didn't know it?
No, I had 4.
All
I
right.
haven't eaten. So.
Oh. Why didn't you eat? We need to eat.
I'm more excited. I drink my dinner. I'm excited to talk.
So then, so after this thing with Kathy's happens, Johnny bolts, and this is where we come into there is a little bit of like normal narrative that happens, but it also is like bookended with almost like police blotter accounts of actions, interviews, letters, normal narrative, internal monologues. That bit with Sarah at the end is all internal monologue.
Yeah.
There's a ton of narrative devices that all happen in this last like 30 pages of the book.
Well, except there is some kind of traditional third person omniscient kind of thing that happens that tells this final encounter with Stilson.
That's what I mean. Like there's those mixed media pieces that are around like traditional narrative stuff, which that's what I meant by traditional narrative. Sorry.
Well, and there's that thing too where like when Johnny bolts, Chuck's dad is so racked with guilt about like what he did save certain students by inviting, or graduates or whatever, by inviting them over to his house, but he realizes that though he scoffed at it, Johnny's flash and premonition was true, and so he's trying to send Johnny money.
Yeah, and Johnny refuses it the first time. Well,
that much money.
Yeah, he in the letter that we do here, you find out that this is the second letter because he sent the first one back with the check, like return to sender.
Oh, that's right. So I thought you were jumping ahead towards the notes from the Dead Zone, but yeah,
this
we were going gets like introduced earlier.
Yeah, he's because these are all letters from Mr. Chatsworth, and you find out that he is racked with guilt. He replays that conversation that he had with his son Chuck about how he wouldn't tell a lie, and he boils it down to the point that like his next thing is like basically saying, but I wouldn't even would have had to have lied. I could have just written a check. Like it was I feel like because he was so proud of where he had, like, this is a proud man who had built himself up, pulled like from his bootstraps basically, like, and built his wealth. Right. And because they talk about that was an intimidation for Chuck. One of the reasons why he had problems with his reading was because he's constantly worried about trying to impress his father because his father had done such amazing things. And so his letter to Johnny is basically, he's trying to buy forgiveness is what he's trying. And like, I think that's what Johnny thinks. And that's why he ultimately does take the money, like takes what's left, is because he wants to give that forgiveness to, like, he wants to give that peace to Mr. Chatsworth, like.
Yeah. He like, knows, I'm not going to stop writing you. I'm not going to stop trying to give this to you. And he says, like, it's not blood money or whatever. He's like, it's not my guilt. But obviously we kind of see through that in a way.
Yeah, I think that's like exactly bad. What it is. Yeah. No, it's not bad at all. Like, I don't think he wants that money because he knows it would have taken a fraction of that to have saved all of those kids. Like,
yeah, and he knows like Johnny's taking like shit work to get by, and so it's some way of easing his conscience and hopefully helping Johnny. But like these letters, we find out it's like August of 77 through March of 78. Like it's like 6 or 7 months of like trying to send Johnny this money, and he's like, I'm not gonna stop. Like, you're gonna take it from me.
That's Johnny. What he said.
And he says, like, you'll notice that the check is significantly less than it was the first time, and that's because I could do this, and he paid off all of his medical bills,
which was, I mean, obviously that was
like $250,000, which if I said was like 1.7 million in our money.
Oof.
Right.
Oh,
like
wow.
In $1979 or $1975, like that's a lot of money, and he paid it off. And I really like that because Johnny Johnny and his dad both came back to that multiple times about wanting, like, that was always going to be over their head. It wasn't bad enough that he lost 5 years of his life. He also had to deal with that shit being over his head for the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and so he paid that off and then sent him the balance, like what was left.
And in that time, fucking Stilson formed the American Now Party. Like
another parallel.
Yeah.
Like make America great again. Like,
right. So that he could run for the House of representatives.
Another
An
one.
old song. An old song set to a new tune, as they say.
Yep. Another thing that I forgot to touch on, or I can't remember if I touched on. He has that hard hat. That's his symbol. Is his hard hat.
Yeah.
I thought that was another really strange parallel to me. That that his image is based on a hat.
Yeah. This guy must have really bad, weird side part hair. You ever see that picture of Trump's mom? Like, it all makes sense.
No.
And I'm not going to paint him as a tragic figure, but look up like Donald Trump's mom. Like, she has that same fucked up hair. Looks like a profoundly physically disturbed human being. Like that guy, you know, I have zero sympathy for him. Like, I don't like to hate people, etc., but you kind of hate him. So, but yeah, the archetypes we're talking about, like, he could easily fall into all that, like with the overbearing mother and the sort of tragic past and stuff, you know, resulting in this, you know, megalomaniacal, you know, narcissistic, you know, sociopathic person that finds himself. And did you find it? Like, I wonder if I can.
Oh yeah, she does. She does look
really
crazy.
Fucked up. Like, it's easily, you know, what's Fred
that hair
Dodd's mom?
is out. Oh.
I know it's really weird to base something
You're
on
so
hair,
right.
But
yeah, you're so right.
I don't know what I found. I only saw one image and I was like, yeah, I'm sure it's the one you found, where it looks like there's like she could fall over from the weight on her one side.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so upsetting. But it's like, oh Lord. Okay, I can't. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back. But yeah, obviously the parallels are
they're like
innumerable.
staggering.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like,
staggering, right? Like, because you remember before we even started this, I was like, this is so relevant to now, and just like I'm so excited for this, and like, because I had listened to it again, like really quick, just before we got ready for it, and I'm like, this is going to be so awesome because it's so relevant. And then the last episode, I feel like we didn't, or the one before, we talked about how we wonder if King kind of pushed this through because it was so relevant. Like re-recorded this audiobook with James Franco because it was relevant.
You know what? Next time we talk, we're going to be talking about the film. I got the DVD. I ordered it, had it shipped. The copyright date of said DVD, 2004. If you think about that, the last time we came close to something like this sort of political, I don't know, like 2004. Yeah, it's like George W. Bush was being double D. What? Was unfortunately, elected for a second term. And at that time, that was kind of, we're like, what? We're all up in arms, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, not all of us, but
most of us.
We couldn't have dreamed that things would get so bad. I was talking before about
I never would have thought it would get so bad that I would wish for George W. Bush to be president again.
Right. Like, I can't quite think in those terms, but how I was talking about The Bride Loves MSNBC. There's a correspondent now on that network that was like an advisor to him, like was on his staff, and rings now true as such just like a breath of fresh air. It's like she's a Republican person.
Yeah.
Just like a goddamn human being. And now she seems like far right somehow, or far left. Sorry. Whoa. Ow.
It's just like what's her name, Navarro on CNN. She's a Republican too. What's her name?
It's very odd the way all those things are shaken out now, but how closely they adhere to this fantasy in 1978 or 9 of Greg Stilson that's come to pass. You know, it's weird too, because we were talking earlier about U2 and the Reagan. It's like
Anna Navarro, that's who
Yeah.
I'm talking about. She's a Republican. She's a correspondent for CNN, and she's awesome. And again, that has that human being aspect that you're referring to.
Yeah, like I can't like now to think of the idea that George W. Bush would be a more sane choice than our current commander in chief, which I just threw up a little bit in my mouth. Like is tough, is really tough.
No, it's tough. Well, let's get back. So it's so tough. Let's get back to Dead Zone.
Yeah, which is no better. Like,
No, it's just no
that's
better.
like the fictionalized version in 1979.
It is.
The reality
It is.
we're dealing with now.
So, all right. So, it's also in this time that we find out that FBI guy from the beginning of this section is killed.
There's I have a note here about the press that says dirt under the dirt under the rug is only as dirty as the press wants to make it. And thankfully right now we have a press that's hopefully trying to expose the truth, you know, a la Watergate, etc. But yeah, at that time and in this book, like early Stilson, they kind of like him, right? Because he's getting them ratings and such. So
Yep.
they're not necessarily interested in exposing him for, you know, the shady stuff he's got going on with Sonny Ellerman, etc.
Which again rings true.
Mhm.
I mean, so many parallels, and then it's at the end of chapter 24. So like Chuck writes him a letter. So we get Chuck's dad writing, we get Chuck writing him
that
and
was
like
very
giving
touching
him
too, where
it
Chuck's
is
like,
really.
he's like, I hope you're not bummed out. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very sweet, the whole Chuck.
It is. And he, you know, he's doing well. You find out that his parents did follow Johnny's advice and send him to
Yeah,
didn't
Johnny
send him to
was
college right
saying,
away.
like, yeah, like put him
Send
into
him to
some kind
boarding
of prep
school.
school first.
Prep
So
school,
that-
yeah. Which I guess is that like community college, what we would call community college now.
Yeah, I could see that.
So just a really nice catch up. And this is where it comes back to Johnny remembering like what Chuck said, how he just couldn't stand the idea of all those people haunting him if he didn't kill Hitler. And then that chapter ends with Johnny reading the newspaper article about the FBI agent getting killed, who had been following Stilson. So those things help seal the deal that he's like, I got to do something because this guy's not going to stop.
And he weighs it sometimes. Like he's like, he gets kind of specific about it. Like whether or
Well,
not he should do
when he
something.
talks about his notebooks, like they go into his notebooks and he breaks down all the possible scenarios. Like these are the things that I could do. And ultimately, the reason why the only one that works is him trying to assassinate is because he does not have very much time. And that's what we end up finding out. What's accelerating that is he.
Oh, yeah,
and he alludes to
yeah.
it. He alludes to it. We don't find out about it until the letters from the Dead Zone, but he finds out based on his dad tells him that Dr. Wyzak said based on the headaches and stuff that he's getting, he should see a neurologist. And he ends up seeing him. And then the next thing after he sees the neurologist, the next thing is he's buying a gun.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
so like,
oh man, it's like
he had
there's a
gone
little
through
Travis
this.
Bickle in this, like
Yeah.
Taxi Driver.
Yep.
Where Travis Bickle is kind of, that's a different thing. Like Travis Bickle is doesn't have insight, but he's kind of psychotic and he thinks that he can make an impact by assassinating this political figure. Whereas Johnny has shaken the hand of this political figure and knows that this man is a threat to humanity.
And he buys a gun, he buys an attaché case, he buys a ticket, goes back to New Hampshire, right? Or Connecticut, or wherever. Finds out
yeah.
where Stilson's going to be. because Stilson comes back up to New Hampshire. It's New Hampshire. Comes back up to New Hampshire every weekend and goes to a different town. He finds out where the next one's going to be. And that's where he plans he's going to assassinate. He decided he's going to assassinate Stilson. And in the morning he goes to case the joint the day before. More foreshadowing, which we don't even need to get into. Because the next morning he goes in there, he breaks into the building, climbs up, puts himself ready to take care of Stilson.
Mm-hmm.
And he
says things to himself like, when men do it in wartime, they give themselves medals, or not themselves, they get medals. Like he's trying to psych himself up to like knowing this is, whether it's Vera or whomever, like this is what you're supposed to do. This is why you've been given these abilities to help, humankind, rid the world of this guy.
There's a really long passage, and I don't know if it's in the Letters from the Dead Zone or in this bit right here, where he basically says like, the way I took it was, it doesn't matter if there is a purpose, because he said like, if God gave me this power, then why didn't God just like kill Stilson in the womb? Why go through all this trouble? I have this. I wrote down even constantly
myself.
like battling. Like, what'd you write? Let me hear.
It's not. I sort of petered out at a certain point, but it's like, why did God have to have Johnny Smith do his dirty work? If he wanted Stilson dead, why didn't he do it in the womb? Like that whole thing. Like he sort of rails against this. Like he's trying to figure out like, what should I do? And then at certain points, he just like freaks out. Like, what the fuck? Why me? Ow.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Does Johnny Smith succeed in killing Greg Stilson?
Well, no.
But
I thought he would, as
he
someone
kills him politically.
Who didn't know. Yes, he does. Yeah. I was surprised by how that unfolded, like with him up there.
It is a very, very, very elegant twist. So, you think that Johnny's going to kill him the whole time. That's what it's coming up to. He gets 2 shots off and almost gets him. But Sonny's boys get Johnny and no Greg Stilson. However, Greg Stilson, which it's funny, this just came to me. Every time we've met Greg Stilson, we learn that he will not let anything get in his way. He kills his political career by literally putting a child in his way of the bullet.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that's very astute.
Oh, man, that is...
You're on fire tonight.
Fucking genius. Not me. This King is just like, that is so smart. I mean, because it literally goes against what had been established for this character, but to protect himself, there's a young woman with a young toddler with her at this rally. Stilson sees the gun and grabs the little boy and holds him in front of him.
And that for Johnny has been the thing that he has seen in his visions. There's always been certain things obscured. Of course, there's the dead zone, things he can't see. But
something behind the blue.
Something behind this kind of blue and yellow stripe that he can't quite see through. Turns out to be very literally the snowsuit of this kid that Stilson uses as a human shield, thus like negating this whole thing where he's always like Stilson's whole thing, as Palmer has told us and as King has outlined, nothing comes between him and what his goal is, which is some kind of domination,
power trip.
Yeah.
Like it's just,
he puts this kid.
That's the way I take it.
Yeah. He literally holds this kid up in a snowsuit, in a blue and yellow snowsuit as a human shield between him and his goal.
And so a picture is taken and the person who takes the picture runs for their life because like Stilson says, once they know Johnny is no longer a threat, Stilson says, Sonny, go find whoever took that picture and smash that camera.
Yeah. And
And
of
so-
course, like Stephen King, true to form, introduces us to that kid because that kid comes up to Johnny, who has
When Johnny was
kinda-
casing the
Yeah,
joint.
he's trying to case the joint like as a photographer of sorts, but he doesn't
Yep.
really film in his camera. He doesn't know anything about taking photos.
Yep.
So we get a little insight into this kid because Stephen King is such a masterful storyteller.
And the kid says, yeah, the little bit of that was the little bit of foreshadowing, because the kid says, I've always wanted to take one of those pictures, like the one at Iwo Jima,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
like live forever. And he takes this picture of Stilson holding a little boy in front of him to protect himself from an assassin. And that's what kills, what politically kills him. And I love that Johnny goes, like, at the end, for half a second, Johnny is able to touch Stilson's ankle.
Yeah.
And this is how I can't believe I didn't put that together. It was all behind the blue at that point, meaning that it was all buried behind that kid. Like that kid like took care of all of it. That's why. Such good stuff. And then the last, and that's essentially the last we hear of Stilson.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is his undoing. The fact
that is his undoing.
He is exposed for all that he has always been, but with that image. And that's what I hold out hope for. And I've talked about in previous episodes.
Me too.
Like what we're dealing with now, our real life Stilson, is slowly being exposed for the guy that would hold up a kid to save his own
unfortunately
skin.
it's
His
not
political
gonna it's
skin, not
not
even his
happening
real skin.
it's not happening as fast as it does in the Dead Zone, but I feel like it is happening.
Well,
We'll see,
I mean, just
though.
those letters were like 7 months, from when Johnny left the Chuck's house, and it takes him a little bit of time, but
yeah, sure.
yeah,
and then
the parallels are interesting. It's a pretty timeless story, even though it's at the time seemed to be set so specifically in the late 70s, to the point where the author felt the need to like write that thing like, these are not real, referring to real people, etc.
Right.
But as it's come to pass,
It is crazy. And we really, because you talked about how tragically, like, Johnny has to, Johnny's dying, like he doesn't know he's successful. In the letters from the Dead Zone, in the end there, like, you find out that he's come to peace with the fact that he knows he's going to die one way or another. Oh, and that we find out too, that's really what the purpose of the letters of the Dead Zone are, is you find out that the reason Johnny went with assassination and why he acted so fast was because he had a tumor.
Yeah.
That he was going to die. And he did not have very long to live. And he comes to terms with that in the sense that he felt like it wasn't necessarily that, I don't know how to articulate it. He was on borrowed time. Like he was going to have to pay back that night. Like he was supposed to not survive that night where he died.
Which night do you feel?
The taxi cab night. Like,
Okay.
I don't think, like, he wasn't supposed to survive that night. And so it's been borrowed time since then. And now that he served his purpose, he's made peace with dying,
Mhm. Well, there's an interesting thing where once the scene that happens that we talked about in the book, like the notes from the Dead Zone, is essentially letters and like what kind of transcripts, like courtroom transcripts,
like interview transcripts. Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back and forth between those transcripts and like a long letter to his father, to the point too, even like where he writes Sarah afterwards. He's like, I'm spent from writing to my dad. Call him.
Yep.
And he'll fill you in. It's a very interesting kind of, I mean, as a writer, it's interesting because like as a reader, it makes sense. Like you jump back and forth between Johnny's letter to his dad, ... jump to transcripts to fill you in on what I imagine Johnny would have filled in his father with in a different way.
Yep.
It's an interesting choice in terms of like how to divulge that information, I guess, and especially to jump back and forth in that way.
I think
the point
that
even going
all
to
of-
Sarah, like being like, call my dad. Oh, you've called my dad. Now I'll tell you.
I think this is King practicing his craft, is what this is. I think this is a young author who is experimenting with ways of dealing with exposition. And that's all it is. And it is unique. I think it's totally unique. I think all of it could have been done just as third person omniscient narrative, you know? But I think it's just him practicing, and I love it because you see pieces of where he's going to become as an author, what he's going to become as an author in these early books. And this is a good example. This mixed media style is a good example of that.
I do really like the way he, what like after everything, I'm going to read a little passage from the book where he goes back to him talking to his dad, going back and forth, where he says, the tumor, he's talking to his dad, the tumor is only the accident finally catching up with me. The accident which I now believe never stopped happening. The tumor lies in the same area that was injured in the crash. That same area that I now believe was probably bruised when I was a child and I took a fall one day while skating on Runaway Pond. That was when I had the first of my flashes, although even now I cannot remember exactly what it was. And I had another just before the accident at the SD State Fair, or at the SD Fair. Ask Sarah about that one. he's telling her to call Sarah.
Yeah.
He's just like, fucking, I can't fill in all this stuff for you.
Yeah, no shit.
I'm sure she remembers. The tumor lies in the area I always called the dead zone. And that turned out to be right, didn't it? All too bitterly right. God, destiny, providence, fate, whatever you want to call it, seems to be reaching out with its steady and unarguable hand to put the scales back in balance again. Perhaps I was meant to die in that car crash, or even earlier that day on the runaround. And I believe that I finished what I have to finish, and the scales have come completely back into balance again. Like, so that's what he's writing to his dad as he's planning to go do what we talked about and try to assassinate Silson and save the world from, irrevocable calamity. And he does, but I kind of I like that very much because, this idea, we pose that question, when you go back and kill Hitler.
Yep.
That's a little tough like that for me. Oddly enough, having been the guy that made The Crow, which is essentially like spent 4 years meditating on this idea of going back and seeking physical, murderous vengeance upon people.
Right.
I don't ultimately at this point feel like that's a good route to go. And so, like, while I wouldn't like that idea of ineffectually changing things from within, the idea that you could just expose the truth. In this case, Johnny exposes the truth by trying to kill Hitler, but kind of failing, and thus, but ultimately revealing Hitler's true nature before he can gas,
Right.
all these people.
Well, you can. It just show. I think the message I take from it is you can defeat these terrible people. You can, quote unquote, politically kill a terrible person without becoming them.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Stooping to their level. Yeah.
Or yeah. So, man,
that's pretty well said. I mean, we'll wrap up next time we speak by kind of like looking at the whole movie which is a summation of the book. But I think that's kind of where it ends up. Like Johnny does change things by
it's
exposing the guy.
in that letter to Sarah. It's what he says, where he's like,
oh yeah, it's wrong.
He's
but
like,
it may turn out right. He said.
He's like,
I made note of that.
We all do what we can, and it has to be good enough. And if it isn't good enough, it has to do. Like, meaning like you do what you can. That's it.
And yeah, like he tried to assassinate the guy.
Right.
But as it turned out in his, quote unquote, whatever, well-intentioned act, it did have the desired effect.
I think that's the message. Like whether or not he had a purpose, whether or not he had an ability, the fact of the matter was he was given this piece of information and enough evidence to trust that information. And he had to do what he was capable of doing.
He had to do something, right?
He had to do something. Yeah. That's the message, is that, just you have to try. You have to try to do something. So good fucking book, man, right? Stephen
really?
King.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, not even one of like his, I was going to say seminal works. That's she said, etc. But like, I mean, it's the one we happened to book club. I hate to qualify it like that, but I think this was really a great stellar. But it's kind of like a very small story in some ways, but a very big story in others. I don't know. It's I'm glad we did it the way.
This was one that when I went through my chronology of Stephen King, this was one that just like you got through. You know what I mean? Like I just went through
think
it.
About it so much.
Yeah. So it was really nice to have this like nice intimate, like month-long, take your time going through this book of multiple times to really dissect it and really learn to appreciate it. So
yeah. And it's fuck, I hope it's not timeless, but it definitely is timely.
Yeah, for sure. So next episode, we will be talking about the Dead Zone movie and touching on, I'm not watching 5 seasons of that fucking show.
No.
I'm going to probably watch the pilot and I'll definitely summarize the Wikipedia page. But we will talk for sure about the movie and potentially have a special guest, a returning guest. Our good friend Twinkie might be coming back for our last talk about the Dead Zone when we talk about the movie adaptation, and get his take on the book, which he has been reading the book with his wife. What a nice thing to do.
That's pretty cool.
So hopefully whenever you happen to, you fellow listeners happen to stumble upon this, I hope that you have enjoyed your reading of the Dead Zone. And really let us know what you think, like regardless of when it is, like we'd love to know.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, you can catch us at on Twitter at LWSD pod, or you can write us an email right to lwsdpod@gmail.com. So if you're finding these all at once, you found them all at once. We did it over a period of 4 weeks in 2017.
But then you get to listen to it at your leisure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. My pleasure. I know other people's pleasure.
This book club has been brought to you by 2 sponsors. audibletrial.com/LWST. Go there, sign up for your free 30-day trial. We highly recommend downloading the Dead Zone, which you would have done previously, hopefully, before you got to like the 4th discussion about it. But get your free audiobook from that. Our other sponsor, bookrags.com. Thank you so much for all of your materials. They were very helpful in the discussion portions of the book. So join us next time for our discussion of the movie and television show adaptations of the Dead Zone. I am Palmer, signing off from Dayton, Ohio.
I'm Dave, signing off from Northfield, Minnesota.
It has been a pleasure, sir.
Oh,
dude,
very much so.
Another great round of dude therapy.
It was a fun one.
Totally good time.
Fucking high school band. What? Fine line. Fine line. Yep. Oh shit! I gotta see if I can find that. I'm pretty sure that exists somewhere that I can just download it. Oh my god!
That tape.
I need that.
So I will look for. I will. Yeah.
All right, got one more. I got one more beer for this book club discussion.
And I have most of this werewolf to get through.
Ooh.
Which is yeah. Man.
Made my own Teen Wolf noise.
Yeah.